have this crash on southbound I-15 before you get to Parrish Lane in Farmington and Centerville. They are out of traffic and in the right shoulder now, but the delays just haven't let up all morning ever since it happened, especially on I-15. They're starting to reach back into Kaysville now, and doesn't really let up till you pass the cleanup. Southbound West Davis corridor and Legacy Highway are also both very full as you try to get into Centerville. But again, once you pass the cleanup, you're all the way in the clear into Salt Lake. We do have a disabled vehicle at the off-ramp from I-15 at Parrish Lane, which is just adding to those adding to those backups from that crash. Aubrey?
Have a crash northbound I-15 at University Avenue in Provo. It looks like that's over to the left shoulder and causing a bit of delay through there. And then again through Linden into Pleasant Grove. And then you're at good speeds all the way into downtown. Unless you're getting onto I-80 eastbound there, that collection ramp is looking a little bit slow. Is the IRS harassing you? Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox gets the IRS off your back to end your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice day today, a high of 89 degrees and sunny skies. Right now, it's 72 degrees in Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. There's an increased security presence at Westfest this year after last year's festival ended in tragedy, where 3 people died. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson has the story.
West Valley City officials say they added extra security measures during the planning of this year's Westfest. That includes more security personnel, more training for staff, and enhanced coordination. This comes after an 18-year-old was shot and killed in what authorities believe was gang violence. But a pregnant woman and an 8-month-old baby were also killed as innocent bystanders during the shooting in the middle of last year's festival. A 16-year-old was charged as an adult for the murders.
In a statement, they said what happened last year was a targeted and highly unusual act of violence, not representative of what Westfest has traditionally meant to this community. The highway was buzzing in Yellowstone after a semi-truck trailer tipped over, spilling dozens of crates carrying bees. East Idaho News reports tens of thousands of bees were in those crates. Crews are suited up and trying to recover as many of them as possible. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. With the World Cup play underway in several U.S. cities, ticket scams aren't the only thing for fans to worry about. Counterfeit swag is also a concern.
In the run-up to the FIFA Championship, Customs and Border Protection agents say they seized $6 million in fake jerseys, toys, soccer balls, sunglasses, and a host of other products labeled as official FIFA gear. That's only at the Port of Houston. CBP says the counterfeits came from the same country as most of the genuine items, China.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, things are up. The Dow has gained 0.5%, gaining 265 points. The S&P is up 73 points, and the NASDAQ is up 342 points. Coming up, today's a little cooler, and then it heats up again. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
This summer, Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater is back. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of America with a season that sings our nation's history and yours. First, freedom, passion, and unforgettable storytelling with the Tony Award-winning musical 1776. Starring two Michaels, renowned singer Michael Ballum and Metropolitan Opera singer Michael Sokol. Then, Gilbert and Sullivan's silly and swashbuckling, okay, not really, but at least it's a pirate word, The Pirates of Penzance, plus the moving romance of the last 5 years. This year, we're even honoring the legal system with the courtroom duo, Scalia Ginsburg and the lighthearted Trial by Jury. The first is based on the true story of two Supreme Court justices who couldn't agree on anything except for their love of opera. The second is another Gilbert and Sullivan romp that'll leave you laughing. Join world-class singers, a full orchestra, and the magic of live theater in historic downtown Logan. Bonus, Utah teachers and students get free tickets. UtahFestival.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. Here's Cormac Bone.
Delays are starting to work their way out southbound through Davis County, but it is still very heavy on southbound I-15, Legacy Highway, and the West Davis Corridor, all starting in Farmington near Park Lane. And that's due to a crash that is just before Parrish Lane in Centerville. And now they've been out of traffic and in the right shoulder for quite some time, so that's probably why the delays are starting to work their way out, but it is still going to be very slow on your way into Salt Lake. Northbound I-15, also seeing some light delays left over from 3300 South up to 13th South. Thirsty for better water? Culligan has you covered, from softeners and filtration to bottle-free coolers and bottled water delivery. Trusted local experts make water taste amazing. Visit CulliganSLC.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny skies on the horizon today with temperatures warming up to 89 degrees. Tomorrow, quite a bit hotter with a high of 97 and some breezes moving in. Right now it's 72 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
When we ended the show yesterday, we were talking about two presumptive Supreme Court justices who were appearing before the Senate. Of course, they had been through the Senate.
Utah, right? Utah
Supreme Court justices. As we know, the legislature passed a bill that would increase the size of the Utah Supreme Court from 5 to 7 justices. Two that are filling these two new slots were confirmed yesterday by the state Senate.
They were, and they also had pushback from Senate Democrats. So Jay Jorgensen was confirmed 22-7, and Stephen Dent confirmed 24-5. So there was some heartburn on the part of the Democrats.
Yeah, I was concerned about that because there were several. Let me just break down what the heartburn was from. And I'm looking at the Utah State Democrats responding to the appointments. And so when you look at the vote, Jorgensen's confirmed 22-7. I'll talk about him in a minute. Dent 24-5. The Democrats voted against them for a couple of reasons. And what they were concerned about, and I'm looking at the state Democrat Senate response to the Supreme Court appointments. We oppose efforts to expand the Supreme Court. Okay, expansion of the court, Jorgensen's residency requirements, and concerns that neither justice had sufficient judicial experience. So I want to break those down because I don't agree with any of them.
Okay.
So let's
break them down.
Let's start with expansion of the Supreme Court. We haven't expanded our state Supreme Court in
more than 100
years.
I think.
We have 5.
Yeah.
Good or bad, let me just tell you what other states in our region have. Utah now has 7 as a result of the new law. Colorado, 7. Nevada, 7. Montana, 7. Arizona, 7. Seems like we're now in line with a lot of other states. That's not to say there aren't some with 5, but I'm looking. Those are smaller states. Idaho and Wyoming have 5. New Mexico has 5. Those are significantly smaller states. I would say the states that are at our same level, including Nevada and Montana, which are maybe slightly smaller, are 7. So 7 justices makes perfect sense. I think it brings us into the 21st century. And so
certainly
I don't.
That was some of the argument when they passed this bill.
Right. So I don't know that. I mean, I understand the timing of it was raised some eyebrows with the Democrats because they were concerned about the Supreme Court, and the Republicans were concerned about the Supreme Court, and they felt like this was a pushback. But in terms of expansion of the court, it makes perfect sense. So
let's talk about some of the 2 other concerns.
Yeah. So one other concern was, they said, we have serious concerns about whether Jay Jorgensen satisfies the constitutional residency requirements for service on the Utah Supreme Court. This one really troubles me, Holly, because what they're saying is that law requires, if you're going to be on the Supreme Court,
right,
that you have 5 continuous years of citizenship in the state of Utah, residency, I should say.
Right. And?
He's been a Utahn all his life. He went away for a short period of time to serve a mission.
He was
for
a
the
mission
Church of
president.
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That excludes your residency? Like, come on. We don't do that. We've never done that. We've never treated a single missionary, no matter what they're doing, as you're no longer a resident of the state of Utah.
That's interesting.
They keep their driver's licenses. They keep their voting records. You leave for 2 years. You're still Utahn. Like, what's up with that?
Well, I don't know.
I'm just telling you that one. Like, if that's their concern, I mean, what about people who are serving in the military? What about people who are serving in the Peace Corps or doing some other, laudable?
Yeah.
That suddenly, well, you're no longer a resident. We don't include you anymore. Like, you guys don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned that the Democrats did that. He served as a mission president. I don't know where.
Chile.
Okay, but let's talk about his background. BYU Law School.
Right.
That's there in Utah.
Right.
He's a member of the Utah State Bar. He currently is general counsel for our.
He was a senior legal counsel for the church.
Yeah. Probably headquartered right here in Utah.
For sure, headquartered here in Utah.
I don't know. I guess I should get off my soapbox here. We're not done, but I'm really troubled
that they picked that as something
they would
to argue
pick that
against
as a reason. And so the third argument, this one is also equally troubling. We also have concerns that both appointees lack judicial experience for positions at the state's highest court.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, right? What they're saying is they haven't been judges before, but you and I have talked, and you've told me that you don't think that matters.
Well, I think it doesn't matter because of what they did do. So Jorgensen was a clerk for the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, that seems like that's courtroom experience. That's judicial experience. He served as a clerk for the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
Wow.
You can't tell me he doesn't have judicial experience. He also served on the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit with Judge Alito. Now Justice Alito was on the Third Circuit. So, it's not like neither of them have ever seen how a courtroom works or even seen the interactions of a courtroom. I mean, if you're at it working for an appellate court as a clerk, you're involved in the decision-making process. It's not like, they've never done a jury trial. They don't have to do a jury trial.
Right.
These are appellate court positions.
Right.
They served in appellate court positions as clerks for appellate court judges at the highest level. That's Jorgensen. Let's talk about Dent. The Utah Supreme Court. I mean, redistricting, Planned Parenthood cases, other cases. I mean, don't be doing
Bite the
this.
hand that feeds you.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about Democrats and their position here.
You're right that we only have a few seconds, but I wonder if you know the timeline. Like, when will they be sworn in as justices? Do you know that?
I'll bet
relatively
Spencer
soon.
Cox is waiting to do it, right? Oh, maybe they get sworn in by the current Supreme Court justice. But at any
I don't
rate,
know. Soon.
Yeah, they'll be sworn in soon.
Okay.
And by the way, there's 2 other openings because
Yes, there are.
Hagan and the Chief Justice have both announced their
And they have to go through the whole process.
So we're going to have 2 more appointed.
Yep.
And I'll bet they're good justices and we shouldn't complain about it. Okay, I'm done.
All right, coming up next, we're going to stick with the topic of Supreme Courts, but we're going to talk about the Supreme Court of the United States. They handed down 3 rulings this morning. Not the great big one we've been waiting for, but 3 interesting ones. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Dee and I had the chance at Hale Center Theater to see the opening night of not only My Fair Lady, but Harmony. 2 great presentations right now on 2 amazing stages. I want to talk about My Fair Lady first. I've had the chance to enjoy My Fair Lady, the West End in London and New York on Broadway, and of course the iconic movie. But I have to tell you, I don't think I have ever enjoyed My Fair Lady more than watching it on the stage at Hale Center Theater. Spectacular staging, gifted performances, great music, the voices incredible, and the costuming. You're going to love My Fair Lady. It's on now at Hale Center Theater. Then there's Harmony, the story of a 6-man German choral comedy group who gained great fame in the late 20s and early 30s, only to be undone by the Nazis. This is a powerful performance. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now. Harmony and My Fair Lady at Hale Center Theater, hct.org for your tickets.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200 and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
Summer has a way of bringing life's biggest moments back around. The first date, the wedding day, the promise that started it all. Duke's Jewelers knows jewelry is more than a gift. It's a reminder of the people and memories that matter most. This anniversary season, celebrate your story with something meaningful. From timeless diamond bands to custom pieces designed just for them, the Duke's Jewelers team is here to help you find a gift they'll treasure for years to come. And while you're celebrating the love stories in your life, don't forget Dad this Father's Day with distinctive watches, bands, and gifts he'll actually wear and enjoy. For nearly 80 years, families have trusted Duke's Jewelers for life's most meaningful moments. Visit dukesjewelers.com or on Main Street in Springville. Duke's Jewelers, celebrating your story, generation after generation. dukesjewelers.com.
You know, I used to think all money managers were the same until I spoke with Fisher Investments.
Really? How different are they?
Fisher's investment counselors are dedicated to service, not sales, keeping clients up to date on their portfolio.
Well, they probably just invest in a bunch of mutual funds like I do.
Nope. They build a tailored portfolio based on their clients' personal goals, helping them stay on track for a comfortable retirement.
Well, they must make commissions selling products.
Actually, Fisher doesn't sell any commission-based products. They're a fiduciary, and they believe that's a conflict.
Then they have some kind of complex fee structure.
Nope. Fisher has a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of their client's portfolio. So they do better when their clients do better.
It sounds like Fisher really is different.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Fisher Investments. Clearly different wealth management. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley. A gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest. A sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. And as he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So this morning, the U.S. Supreme Court released opinions on 3 cases. And I'm going to ask our legal expert to break them down for us because we're still waiting for the birthright citizenship case. We don't know when that will happen and be released. But today they released one that was super interesting and had to do with marijuana. So let's start there.
Yeah, let's start there. And I texted you early this morning. I said, watch SCOTUS. Something interesting is going to happen. And it kind of didn't. But this one is really interesting because we have a law in the federal courts that provides that you cannot possess a firearm if you are a drug user.
Right.
So sometimes they'll go to a person's house and they'll find drugs and they'll find a gun. And based on the finding of the gun, that person is charged under federal law. It's called 922G, but it's a possession of a firearm by what they call a restricted person.
Okay.
And it has for a long time been a serious felony. You can have a small amount of marijuana in your house, but if you have a gun, that's a problem. Maybe not anymore. This case deals with that almost exact issue. And it's kind of interesting. I will talk about the facts a little bit. But this man, his name is Hemani, was the subject of a search warrant. Police went into his house because they thought he was involved in terrorist activities. And this is how oftentimes these cases are brought about. Police are going in looking for one thing and they find another.
Okay.
They're looking for terrorism things. They don't find anything. They search his house. He says, oh, by the way, I've got a gun over here and I've got some marijuana over here. And they go, bingo. They don't find anything they're looking for.
Right.
But they do find 2 things, and so they charge him with possession of a firearm and also using drugs. And he does say, I don't deal with drugs, but I use marijuana about every other day. I use it to help me. And arguably, it doesn't say that he had it legally or illegally because that wouldn't necessarily matter for this purpose. Because what he was charged with is this possession of a firearm while being an unlawful user of a controlled substance. Now, that law has been on the books forever, and it is now changing just related to the very limited facts of this case because the Supreme Court of the United States has said, and there's a really interesting quote here from, I think it's Justice Alito, who said something, I'll find the exact language, marijuana today is like alcohol at the founding. In other words, it's
pretty common,
more commonplace.
Yeah.
So we can't treat, heroin would be one thing. We wouldn't be having this discussion if it was meth or cocaine found at the house. But it was personal use marijuana, and the Supreme Court has relaxed a law that's been on the books for a long time. And I'm not giving anyone legal advice out there that's listening, but in this case, they said that the possession of a firearm by a person who is a casual user of marijuana, to make that a crime is a violation of the Second Amendment.
That's interesting.
That's a significant change. And they did say this does not, because the law also says you can't be a gun possessor if you're an addict. They didn't change that law. You can't possess a firearm if you're presently at this time intoxicated. They didn't change that part of the law. You can't possess a firearm if you are convicted of a felony. We all understand that. So those 3 provisions still remain.
Right.
At least they weren't addressed. So I shouldn't say they remain.
For Second Amendment issues.
Right.
Yeah.
For Second Amendment issues, you cannot possess, certain people cannot possess a firearm. If you're here in the country illegally, you can't either under certain circumstances. Maybe all.
So let me ask you this question. So this was unanimous. It was a 9-0 ruling. What happens to the plaintiff who brought the case?
Oh, the individual. So he was charged with that crime, and they said that crime doesn't exist, so he's not convicted of that crime anymore.
So does it just vacate that whole conviction?
The conviction for possession of a firearm. Now, if he had other charges for possession of the marijuana, if he had it illegally, but that charge has now been determined to be unconstitutional. It's an affront to the Second Amendment.
Wow.
So he is now not...
Marijuana users rejoice.
Right, but don't listen to us.
I know, that's not advice.
But
okay.
Casual user of marijuana,
9-0.
will not longer be. Yeah, so that's an interesting one.
Okay, tell me about the second one, which I think has to do with appeals courts.
Right, so this one's not quite as interesting, except to us that practice in the law. A lot of times we do this, Holly, and I'll lay a little bit of foundation for this one. When we do a plea bargain in federal court, the prosecution will say, if you want to take this plea bargain, you have to waive your right to appeal. In other words, you're just...
We'll plea, but you can't come back and say, never mind.
Right. There's only one thing you can appeal, and that is whether or not you had a bad lawyer. You can never waive that.
Okay.
But it's called an appeal waiver, and it's in virtually every plea we get. If you get a plea bargain, the government's position is we want to be done with this case.
Yeah.
So if you want to fight it and you want to appeal, let's go fight it and appeal. Let's have a trial. But if you want a plea bargain, and by the way, in state court, that's pretty much the rule anyway.
Right.
What is there to appeal if you plead guilty?
Right.
You can appeal an unlawful sentence.
Right.
But that's included also, or you can appeal the fact that your lawyer didn't give you good work. So in this case, he signed an appeal waiver, said I won't appeal, and he pled guilty. And then at the sentencing, the judge ordered him to get mental health treatment and said you need to take all the mental health medications prescribed. And he said, I don't want to take medications.
Okay.
You can't force me to take medications. And so he appealed and said, I'm appealing my sentence. I'm appealing that provision of my sentence. And the prosecution said, you signed an appeal waiver. You can't appeal. And he's like, well, I mean, I give up everything. Well, the Supreme Court said that is an affront to the law. That is that he should be able to appeal something that to him was egregious, was an egregious affront to his rights. So what they said was an agreement not to appeal a sentence is unenforceable when it would result in what they're saying is a miscarriage of justice, meaning it would leave in place an egregious error that would bring the judicial system into disrepute. So my wife, who does federal, she's in the Federal Public Defender's Office, I called her with both of these decisions today. To her, this is very exciting. and I think it's interesting
because
too,
it allows people to say, look, we made a plea agreement, but there are some parts here that
and the marijuana one too, because those gun charges, we don't bring those charges in state court. Those are federal court charges. So those were interesting as well.
So that second one was an 8-1 ruling, by the way. So there was one dissent. Justice Thomas dissented.
I think it was Thomas who dissented, and I'm not sure why because I didn't read the dissent. They just came out at 8:00.
Right.
The third one, kind of boring, but they came out in that order. Most interesting. This one deals with this in just a very limited question, which is to say, look, if you're appealing something that happened in state court, let's say you have a state court matter and you're saying the state messed up, I want to take it to federal court and appeal. Do you have to get through all of the state courts before you can go to federal court? Or can you just appeal? I don't know if I'm making this clear. Do you have to go all the way to the top of the state court before you can get to the federal court?
Right. So in other words, can you skip over the Utah Supreme Court, for example?
And they said no.
Okay.
Like if you're appealing a state court ruling, you got to run it through the state courts. You can't
Supreme
just
Court.
say, "Hey, we don't care about what the state says. We're going to go to the Supreme Court." Now you can go to the state Supreme Court and lose, and then say, "Okay." But even then, if you're going to take it to federal court, you have to say what the federal issue is. Because if the Utah Supreme Court, let's say redistricting, for example, we're dealing with the Utah State Constitution, and the federal courts don't get to determine what the Utah State Constitution says unless it runs afoul of the federal Constitution. In other words, if Utah's Fourth Amendment says, well, police can break into homes without a warrant, they're going to say, well, wait a minute. The federal Constitution trumps that. So, that one basically says, hey, you got to go through your remedies in the state court before you can get to federal court. Not as interesting, but I think pretty cool. We're almost out of time, but there is a, just if I can go for 30 seconds, your fun facts of the day.
Yeah.
There's a case that you're going to cite. Well, maybe talk about it later, where the United States Supreme Court decided.
It was 1992. Yeah. Georgia versus McCollum.
Yeah.
Yep.
What that case said, it's really important, is that when you're selecting a jury, we often think you can exclude anybody for any reason you want. That's generally true, except you can't exclude people solely based on their race.
Yeah.
So if you're representing a defendant who is black, the government can't exclude everybody who happens to be black. You know what I mean?
Or vice versa.
Or vice
Right.
versa.
Exactly.
Or,
Exactly.
if you're representing a person who's charged with a sex crime, and I think I don't want any women on my jury, you can't just exclude everybody because they're a woman. You have to have an independent reason for doing that. It affects the way we select juries. I think it's important, and I saw that.
I was surprised that it took until 1992 to actually codify that, to be honest.
Well, that's because we've always just given that whole jury selection thing such broad deference on the part of attorneys.
Except that we know, like in the South, certainly you had all white juries doing rapid convictions of black people and then executing them.
And if you can imagine in Utah, you don't get a lot of potential jurors who are of a certain race anyway.
Right, exactly.
So you can exclude them. Well, anyway, enough of that. I'm having fun
Thanks.
today talking about Supreme Court, but you're going to make me stop. So we are going to talk about a new development in the Tyler Robinson case when we come back. His roommate may be asked to appear in court at his preliminary hearing. We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. The Utah County Clerk has changed the job title and responsibilities of a 23-year-old conservative influencer he hired to be the chief deputy clerk. Kai Schwemmer has a history of making controversial comments about women, and his hiring sparked widespread backlash, including from more than 80 different women who have served in public office. County Clerk Aaron Davidson tells KSL Schwemmer will now assist him directly and help the office in a variety of ways, but he says he still has no administrative role in elections. Intermountain Health wants Utah to update car seat laws to cut down on child injuries. KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa explains.
At a Transportation Interim Committee meeting this week, Intermountain Health proposed a bill to have more specific requirements for child car seats. They said that many parents follow the minimum safety requirements rather than using more protective approaches. The bill would require a child who qualifies for more than one protective approach to use the most protective restraint, whether that be using a booster seat or sitting in the back seat longer.
If the bill passes, it would go into effect next year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. As President Trump returns to Washington after signing the Memorandum of Understanding to end the war in Iran, some lawmakers are questioning whether the U.S. got swindled in the deal.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy posting before the war the strait was open, Iran was being crushed by sanctions, and 13 service members were still alive. Now 13 Americans are dead. Families have paid billions at the pump. Sanctions will be lifted, and the bombing has stopped. Adding, this is the worst foreign policy blunder in decades. President Trump is firing back at his critics, saying those who think he hasn't been tough enough on Iran are, quote, either jealous, bad people, or stupid.
ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Your money at this moment, things are still up. The Dow up 152 points, the S&P up 64 points, the NASDAQ gaining 297 points. Oil now $73 a barrel. All right, coming up, we'll take a look at your weekend forecast for Father's Day. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
So for the last several weeks, I've been able to expand my wardrobe because I did the opposite with my waistline. And I've been able to put slacks on. I've been able to put shirts on. I've been able to put clothes on that I haven't been able to wear for a while because they were just too tight. And my belts now fit again. I don't have to cut holes in them. The reason for that is because I hooked up with Sota Diet Nutrition. It's been about 2 months now, and I did that because I wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to do it based on my diet alone without taking any medication. They said, look, here's a program. We're going to line you up with it. We're going to put you on a food plan. They hooked me up with a nutritionist who said, here's the food that you're going to use. You don't have to buy it through us. You can buy it at the local grocery store, but just follow this plan. And I did. And first week I lost 4 pounds, and for the next 7 weeks I averaged 4.2 pounds a week. Seriously. And got down to the weight that my target weight that I needed. It was great. And I'm now maintaining that weight and wearing clothes I haven't worn in a long time. It's been great. Sota Diet Nutrition, SOTA. Remember that? Sota, state of the art.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, Do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
It is still pretty slow southbound I-15 from Farmington into Centerville. These are residual delays after the emergency traffic crash that we had earlier this morning. But once you get through those delays past 400 North in Centerville, you are in the clear into Salt Lake. Southbound I-215's westbound a little slow approaching I-80. And westbound on I-80 coming out of Parley's Canyon looking pretty heavy right now. Looks like there was a controlled slowdown, so near the quarry, perhaps there were debris on the road and folks just clearing off that road. This 4th of July, hit Bear Lake. Garden City welcomes Starship with Mickey Thomas. Plus food, fun, activities, and fireworks. Enjoy a free concert. Visit bearlake.org. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny skies today and tomorrow. High of 89 today, but really heating up tomorrow, 97. But for Father's Day weekend, we have highs in the high 80s, so it should be a little cooler and nicer. Right now, it's 63 degrees and partly sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The defense team for Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, wants to cross-examine the person living with Robinson as a romantic partner at the time of the killing. And what's interesting to me is they want it in a preliminary hearing. So, to inform me is Greg Skordas.
This is really interesting because there is a preliminary hearing scheduled for the first week of July for Tyler Robinson. He's the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk. The state typically at a preliminary hearing always at a preliminary hearing, puts on evidence sufficient to establish probable cause that a crime was committed and that the defendant committed the crime. And if they do establish that, the case goes to trial. It's called bound over.
Sure.
It's bound over for trial. Typically, the defense doesn't call witnesses at a preliminary hearing, but they're not limited. They can, but it's really the state's case. It's the state's showing of probable cause.
Right.
So that hearing is set for the first week of July, and the defense has said, we want to call this Lance Twiggs, who was Tyler Robinson's roommate and maybe lover. We don't know. There was some romantic relationship.
Some kind of romantic, yeah.
He calls him Luna or something like that. They want to put him on the stand. The defense does. The state is saying, well, we're going to put his testimony on. Tyler Robinson gave a statement to him in what we're calling a confession. We want the confession to come in, but we don't think we need to call the witness. We're just going to use hearsay. The defense is saying, well, we want the actual witness. That the state is fighting that, saying you don't get to call witnesses. But they're wrong. And I mean, the defense can't call witnesses. So I don't know why the state is fighting this the way that they are. It would seem to me that if the defense wants to put a witness on at a preliminary hearing, they should be able to do that. The state is saying, well, we're putting him on through hearsay. You don't need to do that. It's going to be a tough issue for the judge to decide, and the judge will decide that coming up pretty soon. But the question always becomes, if you're a defense attorney, do you put any witnesses on at the preliminary hearing? And usually the answer is no, because why would you show the state your hand? You don't have to. It's not your show anyway.
Right. So that is my question. Why would they want to do this in a preliminary hearing, which isn't even the trial, when they'll have an opportunity, I would presume, to do it during the trial?
That's a great question. And the reason is because when you put him on at the trial, you're stuck with what he said. You got a jury sitting there. They're ready to go. If you want to know what he's going to say or how he's going to respond or what his exact answers are, the preliminary hearing is your only opportunity to do that. In a criminal case, we don't get to take depositions. You can't sit down and interview somebody or take their interrogatories or something like that. Your chance to interview them is at a preliminary hearing. Now, you can interview them independently. You can go to their house and say, hey, do you want to chat? But if they say no, that's it. You're done. And we often hire private investigators to go interview witnesses, but they can tell us to pound sand. They don't have to talk to you. But if you want to pin somebody down on their testimony, or at least find out exactly what they're going to say and have them under oath, a preliminary hearing is the perfect time to do that. So the state's trying to do that with this Lance Twiggs. The prosecution's fighting it. Apparently, he's now moved out of state. And
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, and they want him brought in.
Oh, wow.
I would think this. Now, this judge has not necessarily been, splitting things down the middle as much as I might have expected, that they might be able to call him by way of closed circuit, video.
If he went to some kind of a courtroom in a different state or something?
And which we do. You could do it from your laptop.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? You can probably call somebody that way, just so he is recorded and present and identifiable. That's who the person is, and he takes an oath to tell the truth. It's like anything else. So we do have remote testimony sometimes. I had a trial recently where one of the witnesses was serving a church mission. Didn't lose her state residency, by the way, but she was able to testify from another country, really, and it was perfectly appropriate.
Yeah.
We do that all the time. So in this case, I think that the defense really wants to know what he said.
Well, do you think that I know that there's written notes, but do you think that there's something he might say in a preliminary hearing that he wouldn't say during a jury trial?
No, I don't think this testimony is at all helpful for the defense.
Oh,
so that begs the question that you're thinking,
then
so why do they want to put him on?
Yeah.
I think because they want to find out what he's going to say. Exactly. And under what circumstances. Because the state is claiming that Tyler Robinson made some admissions to him. I did it, or I done something, or it even left him a note saying, by the time you read this.
I remember that from September, when we were talking about it, that there was something like under the computer, and that if you're reading this, I've done it.
If it is a confession as a defense attorney, I would want to know everything about it. And maybe they have that in the form of police reports and hearsay and whatnot, but they may want to pin him down on everything and find out how that confession was made, what the circumstances were. Like I say, I don't know that this helps the defense, and I'm not sure why they're doing it, except just to get that information down. I think there are other witnesses that would be equally or more helpful to the defense, but subpoenaing him doesn't seem to be helpful for the defense. Nonetheless, the defense has a right to call witnesses at a preliminary hearing.
Interesting. So I'm reading that the next time that Tyler Robinson is supposed to be in court will be Monday, actually, but that one is really about whether the judge is going to sanction a prosecutor for speaking to journalists. So we've had that one was different too, right? And I know we only have about a minute left, but remind us why it is taking a while for him to issue a judgment on this.
Because the issue was raised. They want to hold the prosecutor in contempt of court for speaking when the court ordered no one to speak about the case.
Right.
So they filed the motion. Then they had what they call an evidentiary hearing. The last hearing was exactly what he said, who he said it to, what the ruling by the court was, and how it could affect the trial. So they had witnesses. They had the county attorney himself testify about what this prosecutor said, why he said it, that he was given permission to say it, and now the judge is going to rule whether or not that is sanctionable, whether or not that prosecutor should be in trouble. Now the defense has argued that the only remedy for that is to take the death penalty off the table. Which of course is not a remedy for that type of thing. I can't imagine the judge ruling that. But he could do exactly what you said, which is the more appropriate remedy. If he did something wrong, I don't think that you should do anything really. If I was the judge in this case, and I'm a defense attorney, but I guess he could say, okay, prosecutor, you can't be on this case because you don't follow the rules. But that would be an extreme
kind of
thing.
Sanction saying don't do that again or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, that'll be Monday, so we'll follow that for sure. So thanks for that. Look, we're gonna stick with court cases, and this one, I know, but this one is a blend because it's a court case that involves the Box Elder Data Center and some stalking. So we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Summer shines a little brighter in Logan, Utah. Start your day on a canyon trail, cool off by the water, or cruise into the mountains for views that go on for miles. Then wander downtown for local shops, live theater, fresh flavors, and a scoop of small-town charm. From outdoor adventure to arts, dining, and easygoing summer nights, Logan delivers the summer getaway you didn't know you needed. Make this summer refreshingly fun in Logan. Plan your trip today at explorelogan.com. Summer takes center stage in Logan, Utah. Late May through August, Logan comes alive with theater, music, art, and can't-miss performances worth planning a getaway around. Catch a show, explore local galleries, stroll downtown, and enjoy a delicious dinner before the curtain rises. With mountain adventures by day and standing ovations by night, Logan turns summer into something refreshingly unexpected. Make your next getaway a little more dramatic, in the very best way. Plan your escape to the heart of the arts at explorelogan.com.
There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and enjoying time with friends. Utah offers endless ways to get outdoors and stay active. Pickleball, hiking, biking, and more. Staying healthy is fun if you do it safely. Intermountain Health recommends taking time to stretch, warm up, stay hydrated, and pace yourself. These small steps keep activities safe and enjoyable for everyone. Because when you make health and safety part of every activity, you're taking care of what matters most: your life, your health.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And right now, new mattresses start at $1,500 during our 4th of July sale. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
No matter where life takes you, Cyprus Credit Union has the tools to help you plan your financial future. Start today at cypruscu.com.
911 coming
exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, we are learning today that a man has been arrested and charged in Salt Lake City after police say he threatened and stalked another person over their involvement with the Stratos project or the data center in Box Elder County. Daniel Charles Kazimov has been charged with 9 counts, Holly, including stalking, threat of violence, electronic communication harassment, all misdemeanors in response to several calls, texts, and other ways that he contacted this person about the data center, threatening him for being involved in the data center, apparently.
What's really interesting to me about this story is from the reports I've been able to read, the person who's the victim here is not like a county commissioner. We don't know what this person's involvement is with the data center, but he's not an elected official.
Right. We don't really know who he is because we just have his initials, and it's not important that we know who he is.
Right. But he's not an elected official.
Right.
That's my point,
Yeah. That's a great point because so this Kazimov, this defendant, threatened to kill him. He said you're a dead rat, and he said if this data center goes through, I'll shoot you. You better pray that it doesn't go through, or you're both dead. I mean, must be for his significant other or something like that. He also makes some homosexual slang, inappropriate comments, and a lot of. I mean,
And you're reading from charging documents.
Yeah, I'm reading from the
cause?
probable cause statement
Okay.
that the district attorney's office filed, and he's the defendant is here in Salt Lake City. The conduct occurred here in Salt Lake County, I should say. The victim actually moved to a different residence, spent $14,000 on security measures, and the defendant continued to contact him. And even after he contacted the police, the defendant called him and said, "Hey, you contacted the police," and then called him a slang, gross word. I mean, just like, this is nuts. I mean, I can see people being upset about this data center, but this one, it goes way over the top, and we don't know why this particular victim was being contacted. It makes no sense.
So tell me why these are misdemeanor charges.
Well, because, I mean, I hate to say this, nobody was touched, nobody was hurt, nobody was. If you threaten somebody over the phone, like
or via text,
or by a text, right? Which these are. It's still a threat, but it's not. It's not a threat that gives somebody a feeling of imminent harm. When if you point a gun at somebody, that's imminent harm.
Okay.
Or if you're behind somebody and you threaten them, you hold an axe over their head or something, that's imminent. But hey, if a phone call or a text message, I'm going to kill you. I don't know. I mean, the law just treats that. It's still offensive. It's still problematic, and it still should be prosecuted. And it is being prosecuted.
Right.
And these are not
Right.
serious charges. I mean, the stalking carries up to a year in jail, and the other charges all carry up to 6 months. With 9 of these, that's 4.5 years in jail, right?
So it's interesting to me, right? We've talked a lot about the data center. We know the Box Elder County commissioners up there, when they approved the 2 resolutions that would allow it to move forward, that they said that they had never felt as threatened, right? But these are elected officials weighing in on this. Again, we don't know this person's connection, but the they is his business partner, the victim's business partner, so not their romantic partner, at least not according to some of the news articles. But
he may have had some involvement in terms of construction or
we don't know.
something.
I don't know
that, but he may have made a statement in support of it, or maybe he's working on something. I mean, he wasn't just pulled out of the blue, but this Kazimov is just really upset at this person, and you better hope this data center doesn't go through, to the point where he's just like, it doesn't even make sense.
Right, but there's a lot of people who are unhappy with the data center, but I think we can agree this is probably taking it too far.
Yeah. Well, and then according to the probable cause statement, and of course he's presumed innocent, Kasimov, when he talks to the police, says, "Well, I got pretty hot. I probably shouldn't have written that."
Yeah, probably not. Except that it wasn't just a one-off either. It wasn't just a one-time thing.
Right.
He just continued to do it.
Yeah, I am truly sorry I threatened your life over the upcoming data center coming to
I
Utah.
threatened your life.
Like, I don't know. I haven't seen, I wouldn't have appreciated, we talked about this data center early on, but I haven't appreciated the public outrage over this. Because what do we have, how many data centers do we have in Utah already?
I think it's 48.
40 or 50, yeah. Which
almost 50
came and got set up. This one is on a much larger scale, maybe larger than all the others combined. And so it took up a lot of land. It was very, very controversial. The county commission, however, approved at least the idea. They passed
there were
a
some resolutions
that could go forward. And they had some threats, and the county commissioners that we talked to have been very upset about the pushback from this. And the public's upset. I mean, I thought it was a bad idea. I thought it was weird, and I didn't think it by any means needed 40,000 acres plus the water and everything. But it's not, so vote against it. Talk to your county commissioner, get them out of office, whatever you want to do. And I'm not saying they should vote against our current county commissioners. I'm just saying there are other remedies.
Well, certainly other remedies than threatening to kill somebody because they have some kind of involvement. So yesterday, we've talked about this. This was interim day this week, so meaning they met in meetings yesterday. So they did take some initial steps to start regulating large scale. In fact, it's this one that they're talking about at Box Elder County is not even large scale. It's called hyperscale.
Yeah.
Because there's like a handful, maybe 5 or 6 in the whole nation right now that can handle the level. Right, that level. So yesterday, the legislature's Economic Development and Workforce Services Committee, interim committee, voted unanimously. They're going to open a bill file to define in Utah state code exactly what a large-scale data center is, and they're going to like pull it all together, and then I think place some. I'm not going to say guardrails, but place some guidelines at least on what that looks like and what process people will need to take if they want one of these in the state of Utah.
And this falls on the heels of the Box Elder County Commission enacting a similar resolution within their own county saying prospectively
we're going to have a 180-day
we're going to have a 6-month moratorium on these. Of course, it didn't apply to the one that's in question here.
Which I think is like, okay, well, what's the point then?
Right, yeah. There's really not going to be there'd be no other reason for a data center in Box Elder County if they build this behemoth.
Yeah, that is correct. So also the governor, if you remember, pretty early in the process of the pushback, had an executive order that he issued saying he wanted some guardrails around data center development, and that would impact this Box Elder County data center. He wanted things specifically to water, to air quality, to I'm just remembering off the top of my head, to utility rates.
Right.
Yeah, utility rates for people nearby so that their rates weren't going to go up. Anyway.
It's the politics behind this data center have just gone on, and we've talked about it before, but it's affected the 2nd Congressional District race. It was an issue that came up in the debate between Blake Moore and Carrie Ann Lisenby.
Yep.
That came up. It's a significant issue in the Senate
Stuart Adams
race, where people are taking this as an issue politically. And it's also going to be important in the Box Elder County Commissioner's re-election
Absolutely.
race.
There's 2 of the 3 that are up this cycle.
This data center, it's not a small thing, but it's not a big item in terms of what all of those individuals are doing.
Well, it causes really strong feelings, as we can see now with this person who threatened to kill somebody because of their alleged connection to the data center. So it causes really strong feelings. And look, we know it's Utah, but it's nationwide, that it's more than 70% of people don't want these massive data centers. And we even did our own unofficial, unscientific poll here with some of our listeners back when this first exploded. And some of the things that they said is, I'm okay with a data center, but why are we putting it in a desert? right? I mean, I think those are fair questions.
Yeah, and why are we taking up water resources in a desert? Why are we using all this energy in a desert? I mean, it's an area, and I think that the people that are setting it up thought, well, what a perfect place to put it, because
well, obviously they did think that
it won't affect as many people, right, and progress, and we could, and it's open land, it's there, 40,000 acres. Who's going to miss it? And boy, did they underestimate.
What the
public's thinking about that one.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back after the break, I've had my full hour of law.
Now we're going to go to a full hour of politics,
which is even more interesting. And so stay with us, because we're going to talk and continue our coverage over Utah's primary elections in a conversation with former Representative and 3rd Congressional District candidate Phil Lyman when we come back after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. The Unified Police Department has arrested 2 additional men believed to have been involved in a shooting back in March. It was in Kearns. The man shot at was taken to the hospital in critical condition at the time. The 3 men in custody are documented gang members, and the shooting is believed to have been gang-related. Utah Congressman up for re-election says they have secured over $30 million in federal funds for northern Utah. The funds are a part of the 2027 appropriations passed by the House Budget Committee, which Representative Blake Moore is a part of. The money will go towards projects targeting water infrastructure, transportation, public safety, military readiness, and several million going towards specific Utah cities.
They're shovel ready. These are our taxpayer dollars coming back to our communities to support really important infrastructure type projects.
Moore is currently in a competitive race for his seat with Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is not happy with his NATO allies. ABC News Chief International Correspondent James Longman explains.
Key NATO allies have welcomed the deal to stop the war in Iran, but now Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has called those same allies shameful for not supporting the war more fully. It was widely considered a war of choice in Europe, which did not meet the requirements for collective defense. And now Hegseth has announced a review to examine the level of U.S. support to NATO. James Longman, ABC News in London.
Your money at this moment. The Dow has gained 163 points. The S&P is up 72 points. And the Nasdaq is up 362 points. Oil sitting about $70 a barrel. Coming up, we'll take a look at the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's back, and you will be too. June 18th through the 20th at the Cache County Fairgrounds, it's the Summerfest Arts Fair, celebrating its 42nd anniversary, featuring local and regional artists and musicians. You're going to love this, like you loved it before. Art, painting, ceramics, music, food. Summerfest Arts Fair is loaded with all the things you and the family love the most. Then get set for an amazing lineup of musicians, featuring headliners The Last Wild Buffalo, Harpers, and the Abscometrists. Enjoy other regional musicians like Fry Pan Band, the Lonely Hearts Club Band, and Puddin'. This is where local, regional, and national artists come together to celebrate the arts. Discover 172 artist booths, 38 performing groups, and 30 food vendors, along with a plein air art competition. Get full details at logansummerfest.org. logansummerfest.org. Summerfest Arts Fair, June 18th through the 20th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. The Summerfest Arts Fair.
Super deals on all sewing machines and sergers at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
Up to $500 off new Bernina machines from $3,000 to $6,000. Save up to $800 on a $7,000 to $9,000 purchase. And get a big discount of $1,500 on a new Bernina, $15,000 retail price and over.
Save big on the Bernina 475 and 335 machines.
Take advantage of low prices on the 770 Pro and 570 models.
See the world-famous Bernina 990 model.
That's on sale, too.
Come in now for bargains on trade-ins and demo machines.
Yes, Dave's Bernina has a limited supply of new machines, out-of-the-box special event machines that are available at incredible savings.
Don't miss this sale.
36 months, no interest financing on certain machines.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Dave's Bernina.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU.com. We have emergency traffic. Here's Cormac Bone.
Yeah, that's right. It is emergency traffic on northbound I-15. This time from about 106 south is where you're going to run into the beginnings of the delays. And it doesn't let up till you get to the south interchange where they are doing emergency maintenance. And only 2 lanes are open. At least they were open. It looks like they may have opened up a few more. So hopefully they start to die out. But it is very dense, especially between 90th South up to the south interchange. A little slow northbound I-15 from 3300 south up to the I-80 201 interchange as well. But otherwise, roadways looking pretty good across the Wasatch Front. A little still delay eastbound on that right lane I-80 approaching US 40. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be pretty warm with highs in the upper 80s, but tomorrow prepare for some real summer heat with highs hitting 97 degrees, and that summer weather will continue into Father's Day weekend, but a little bit cooler. Right now, it's 73 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we're going to continue our coverage of Your Voice, Your Vote here on KSL News Radio ahead of the primaries on June 23rd. For the 4th consecutive day, we're talking with candidates for our congressional districts.
We are, and today we're joined by former representative and candidate for 3rd Congressional District, Phil Lyman. Thanks for joining us, Phil.
Hey, Holly.
Hi.
Hey, Greg.
So we have asked all of the candidates to start the same way. Give us your 30-second pitch about why voters should send you back to Washington, D.C.
Well, CD3 is one of the most conservative districts in the entire country, and it's also one of the largest districts in the entire country. The issues that are facing CD3 deal a lot with the Upper Colorado River Basin, the water issues, the mineral issues, the interface between federal jurisdiction and state jurisdiction. I'm no stranger to these things. I've dealt with them as a county commissioner, as a state legislator. I believe that Utah wants a leader in Congress, not a follower. I think I've set myself apart in my willingness to go to bat for my constituents. I've said all of my politics there's nothing abstract about my political stances. All of them are based on my own experiences with facing off against federal agencies or facing off against the IRS and my CPA firm, businesses, watching the effects of these things. So for me, all politics is local. It all comes back to how it affects families and their household budgets, their housing costs and gas and things like that. And I feel like we deserve a fighter back there in Congress.
Phil, it seems like in this day and age, there's so much going on in Congress with Republicans and Democrats seemingly not agreeing on anything. Tell us about your experience and maybe what you would see as your ability and your strengths working with the other side, crossing the aisle if you needed to.
It's great. That's a great observation, and I see the same thing, probably more at the national level. You know, here in Utah, we have to, if at least the minority has to work with the majority because they are such a deep minority. In Washington, that balance may shift, which makes it even more important to be able to work with people. So for me, and I think I've demonstrated this. I've said no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, freedom means freedom, and people far on the left agree with me on that. People far on the right. The other thing that we found, and kind of going through the data center discussions in Utah, it's not so much about data centers. It's not so much about resources. It's about being treated poorly, and people don't like being treated poorly by their government. They don't like being reprimanded or talked down to, and I don't do that to people. I listen. I talk to people. I try to be completely honest and candid about my politics, and I appreciate it when I get the same thing back from the person on the other side of the discussion. Some of my closest associates in the House of Representatives became people from the other side of the aisle, not because we were in agreement, but because we could have an honest discussion. Where sometimes in the Republican Party, it's a kind of a lock arms and don't break ranks no matter what happens, and I think that's damaging the Republican Party. I am a team player, and I do lock arms, and I do fight for the brand, but not unequivocally, and not without some constitutional restraints, and especially when it comes to freedom and families and personhood and parenthood.
So I wanted to ask you. You mentioned data center. I wanted to ask you about AI. I know that you had a debate the other night, and there were some real differences between you and Representative Malloy. We asked her about it. I'd like to hear from you. What's your approach on AI and regulation or not regulation?
And I said in the debate, AI is powerful, and kind of like nuclear energy. People fear nuclear energy because it's so powerful, but done right, it can be a huge blessing, and it has the potential to really affect us negatively as well. In my business as a CPA and in this world, AI is really a beautiful thing. I know a lot about taxes, I know a lot about tax code, but AI seems to know everything about taxes and history and tax code. So done without interference from the government, without being corrupted by special interests, AI on the face of it could be a huge boon to society. On the flip side of that, it could be regulated. It could turn into a massive surveillance operation, and that's what I fear that mostly about the federal government's regulation is they tend to pick winners and losers. They tend to commandeer great advancements like AI and turn it on the people that they're supposed to serve. And this is what concerns me, I guess, the most with my opponent is the massive amount of money coming from Anthropic to fund her campaign. And it's not that Anthropic is interested in her campaign, it's that can she objectively make decisions about regulating an industry that's just put $1 million towards her campaign? And that's a major consideration. And if nothing else, it should be transparent and people should be able to see that on the front end so they know that is a potential that they might affect her decision.
Phil, if you are sent back to Washington, what would you consider to be a priority or two or three in your first months if you get back there?
I have some really good friends in the House already, some people that I look up to and admire, and I guess maybe I consider them friends. They would know who I am, but Eli Crane, Harriet Hageman, Anna Paulina Luna, and a number of others, Mary Miller, a lot of people that I've had some interactions with. And I think my first priority going back there, transparency is the foundation of my campaign, has been for a very long time. But making those relationships, understanding how things work. Mike Kennedy is I think a great representative, and I would love to be more associated with him. But making those relationships. What I don't want to do in Washington, D.C. is go back there with the reputation of being a flamethrower and be marginalized and cut out of the discussions before I ever get there. And I've seen that happen as well. Not because the person necessarily deserves that, but because someone sees them as a threat. So in a way, I think I do come back with a little bit of authority, a little bit of moral authority and experience that people might perceive that I would be, a hardliner on like a public lands discussion, when I truly understand the nuances of those discussions, and I would like to be able to make those relationships first off, So I'm sorry, you said a couple. So I guess making the relationships, really diving into the transparency issues. And then the other thing that I see an opportunity for with a 435 member Congress, I see people effectively grouping together in smaller caucuses to affect things at their local level. And Harriet Hageman is a really good example of this, working for the ranching community of Wyoming and being able to address some of those issues that are very local, while at the same time paying attention to the global and the national issues.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Phil Lyman, who is 3rd Congressional District candidate, who is facing off against Representative Celeste Malloy on Tuesday. And we actually have some breaking news, I have to tell you.
Uh-oh.
No? There we go. It's
go.
just
It really
into the newsroom. So the case against former BYU football player Parker Kingston has been dismissed without prejudice. Kingston was accused of raping a woman in her St. George home last year. We're going to have more on this case in the noon hour. Stay with KSL for more.
So I have to say, a couple of months ago, I thought I needed to do something about my waistline, and I needed to lose a few pounds. And I contacted Soda Diet Nutrition because it wasn't a lot. I didn't need to lose 50 or 60 pounds. I needed to lose about 25 to 30. And I was doing some things on my own that just weren't working out. So I thought, I'll try something. I'll do something that if somebody will just give me a direction, tell me what to eat, where to buy it, what to do. And they said, here's our plan. They hooked me up with a nutritionist, and she said, here's what you need to do. And you can buy it at your grocery store. You don't need to buy it through us. I started a diet plan. I followed it pretty well. I mean, even my wife was on board with it. She didn't need to lose weight, but she was good about following it and helping me. And I lost over 4 pounds a week. Seriously, over 4 pounds a week. And even though I reached my target weight, I've continued to lose weight. I've gotten down actually below what I wanted to be at, but I feel good. And I like being a little bit below because I can splurge a little bit on the weekends. It's great. Soda Diet Nutrition has worked for me. It'll work for you. Remember, SOTA. Say it with me. State of the art.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Hey, John, why so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this. Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion, and that of the sheriff, is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We're open up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Inside Sources.
Well, as we've spoken to some of the candidates for Utah's congressional districts this week, we spoke with all of the candidates that have a primary.
Yes, we have.
And so the reason we didn't get to the 4th district is because
There's no primary.
There's no primary there.
Yep.
So we didn't exclude anyone for any reason other than they didn't have a primary. Now, that means that when the general election comes, we'll allow both sides. We'll bring both sides in.
That's right.
So the Republicans weren't. The Republican was not interviewed in the 1st congressional district, and the Democrats in the others, for that obvious reason. Okay, but we wanted to break down some of the local and I would say smaller races. Not that they're anything less important; they're absolutely as important. But we don't talk about them as much because they're on a local level and they affect more of a sort of a regional audience. But there are a lot here that I want to talk about, including maybe even the Salt Lake District Attorney's race when we get to that. But I wanted to start with Stuart Adams. President Adams is actually in a bit of a dogfight this year, and he has been very prominent. He's worked very hard. I think he's been the Senate president for at least a couple of terms.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
And a term is 2 years, by the way.
Yeah, and so... Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's so even though his term as a senator is 4 years, leadership terms are 2 years.
Yeah, and they vote on that again. But he's up for a re-election, and he's working hard. I've told the audience here before, I see his billboards all along the corridor when I'm coming north and south between here and my home in Weber County. He's obviously interested in working this hard. And I saw a Stephanie Hollis billboard today, so she's out there too. And he's also got a third opponent, Braden Hess.
That's right.
To me, Holly, and maybe you can break it down better than I have already, if there's a Stuart Adams and an anti-Stuart Adams vote, then splitting it between Hess and Hollis seems to give him a better shot at winning that.
There's always something called the incumbent advantage, right? And I think one of the things that we know from typical voter behavior is there has to be a real wedge issue, if you will, that will get voters to change the status quo. Because usually it's like, okay, well, it's fine. Even when we look at approval ratings, right, for, say, Congress or even the state legislature, you can have a low opinion of it overall, but you like your guy, right? So it's like, well, my guy's okay, but the rest of them, I don't know about them, right? So it's pretty hard to unseat an incumbent, especially one in leadership, but it's not unheard of.
Why is that? Why are there three in that race? I mean, so out of the convention?
I can tell you. Yeah.
Okay.
Out of convention came two. So President Adams got 55% of the vote. Braden Hess got 45% of the vote. So they both came out as convention candidates.
Because Stuart would have needed 60%.
He would have needed 60 to come out as the only one, or vice versa, right? Braden Hess. But Stephanie Hollis gathered signatures, and so she's on the ballot because of signatures. So even though she was not a delegate choice, she did get enough signatures, and she's got an impressive resume too, right? So former legal counsel for Weber State University, I think she's got a lot of involvement.
That's right. I've heard that about her.
And the data center is one of the points where you say the timing for President Adams is bad for him. Right, because all of this controversy erupting right before a re-election campaign of his, and he's getting a lot of arrows slung his way about his role in this data center.
Yeah, he also took a little bit of flack over his involvement in some legislation regarding sex offenders and its association, or at least it seemed to be tangentially related maybe to a relative of his. Now, as I read it, it could not have affected that case because it
wasn't retroactive.
Ex post facto, right, not retroactive.
Yep.
And so it didn't make a difference. But according to at least one of the attorneys who were involved in the case, they did use that with the judge to say, look, under today's law, this should be a lighter sentence because this new law would make this a lesser of a crime. What we're talking about is a crime that involved people that arguably care about each other, but based on their ages should not have engaged in sexual misconduct, whether that should be lessened a little bit.
Yeah, that's another case. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday, right? But you're right. I think with having two not Senator Adams, that does split the vote there. And so we'll see how that happens. There's a lot of money that's come into this race on both sides.
And he's also said publicly, Stuart Adams, that is, if he wins, he will run for Senate president again, probably.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about another one that I think is really interesting. Doug Fiafia is giving up his House seat to run against Senator Dan McKay in this is Senate District 18 in the Republican primary there.
Yeah. And this is interesting to me just because you just said it. So Doug Fiafia is a representative. He had to step away from that seat. He was a first-term rep. He finished his 2 years. You can only run for one office at a time. And because you have to run every 2 years as a House member, he had to choose. And so he stepped away from that. He is running against incumbent Senator Dan McKay, who's been there for quite a while. He started in the House and then he went over to the Senate. You don't usually see this kind of intra-party fighting with people who are already on the Hill.
Right.
So that's what's interesting to me, right? And you see, I see lots of billboards because I go down south, so I pass the south end of Salt Lake County, and I see lots of billboards. I'm seeing way more for Fiafia than I've seen for McKay, but maybe he's advertising in different ways, which certainly candidates can do.
What do you suppose would have made McKay vulnerable, or do you think Fiafia just thought because of the work he was doing in the House that he deserved a shot at the Senate? Because Fiafia, let's face it, has been very active. We've had him on our show several times.
This is where I wish my inside sources were a little more forthcoming because I don't know the backstory.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure that there is one, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is one. But we know that there's been a lot of fundraising or financial support. There's also been open endorsements on both sides from sitting members of the Utah legislature endorsing either McKay or Fiafia. In fact, I've seen several incumbent mayors endorsing Fiafia, which is interesting, right? That's interesting to me. I don't know that it has anything to do with flags. It could, but Mayor Staggs, former Mayor Staggs, he's endorsed Fiafia, and he said it had to do with tax policy coming from Senator McKay. So I'm not sure of that, but it is a very interesting race from a political observer perspective.
Let me ask you this. Is that a safe Republican?
That is a safe Republican
the one
seat.
we talked about before, is it going to be decided pretty much by who comes out of the Republican primary?
Yep,
okay, let's talk about another one that may be the same. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Brady Brammer is running, and he's an incumbent in Senate District 21, but he's being challenged by Kelly Smith.
And she's a sitting city council woman. So that is my district. Brady Brammer was in the House, and then when Mike Kennedy won his congressional spot, Brady Brammer won the special election to take his place as a state senator. So Kelly Smith is challenging him. And I'll just say for our area, what I've seen, and I haven't gotten inundated with 500 flyers, but I got a couple of dozen flyers. And I would say the biggest issue that I see the two of them fighting over is the school district split down there. Well, Alpine School District split into 3. We live in Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove feels like, and there's lots of nuance, but Pleasant Grove feels like they didn't have a seat at the table. They weren't part of the interlocal agreement on splitting the district. And so that's one of the issues that's come up a lot.
Really? And Kelly Smith is
she's a city councilwoman, and I think it's Highland.
Do you know she's having to give that up?
Well, she would. She didn't have to give it up to run because she's not up for election for that seat.
Right.
So if she were to win, she would step down from the city council seat. If she doesn't win, she continues in her role as a city councilwoman.
And so is Brady Brammer he's served one term in the Senate, do you think?
Gosh.
If you say he took that position from...
Whenever Mike Kennedy got in the special election.
Yeah.
So however long that's been. So it really is interesting, and I think it has really come down to part of it is going to be who has better name recognition, and again, there's always an incumbent advantage. So this one, Brady Brammer won at convention, and Kelly Smith is on the ballot because of signatures, even though she did go to convention.
Another safe Republican district.
A very safe Republican
That's your
district.
area?
That is my area.
Okay, so you'll be weighing in on that. Well, that'll be interesting. We've got a lot more to cover. We didn't get very far, did we?
We're going to spend another whole segment on it.
Yeah. When we come back, we will continue our conversation. Do spend another segment on upcoming primaries in part of our coverage of voting up next week. Utah's part, what am I saying? Your voice, your vote.
Stay with us.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. Intermountain Health wants Utah to update car seat laws to cut down on child injuries. KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa explains.
At a Transportation Interim Committee meeting this week, Intermountain Health proposed a bill to have more specific requirements for child car seats. They said that many parents follow the minimum safety requirements rather than using more protective approaches. The bill would require a child who qualifies for more than one protective approach to use the most protective restraint, whether that be using a booster seat or sitting in the back seat longer.
If the bill passes, it would go into effect next year. Fire danger is still high across the state with dry winds and high temperatures. In the last 24 hours, Utah Fire Info says 7 new fires have started up. That includes the 15-acre Palmyra fire in Utah County. Crews are still working on the Sawmill fire near the Nevada state line. It's just over 2,000 acres. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Supreme Court this morning has weighed in on whether habitual drug users can legally own firearms. ABC's Devin Dwyer covers the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court's decision was unanimous, ruling that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional, especially as applied to a Texas man who simply consumed marijuana several times a week and was prosecuted.
Justice Neil Gorsuch, who wrote the opinion, said it is a narrow one and it says it limits but does not end the government's power to take guns away from drug users. Your money at this moment, things are still up. The Dow is up 164 points. The S&P is up 74 points. The Nasdaq has gained 361 points. That's almost 1.5%. Oil ticked up just a little bit. It's now sitting at about $75 a barrel. Coming up, we'll take a look at your weekend forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This summer, celebrate America 250 somewhere truly unforgettable. Bryce Canyon. Stay at Ruby's Inn, the closest lodging to the park, where you'll enjoy comfortable rooms, free hot breakfast, an indoor pool, and easy access to hiking, horseback riding, and gorgeous views. And mark your calendar for July 10th, when the Utah Symphony performs a free concert on the rim of Bryce Canyon, honoring 250 years of America in one of the most spectacular settings on Earth. Make it a summer to remember at Ruby's Inn, where you'll get more Bryce for your buck. Plus, enter to win the ultimate getaway. 2 nights at Ruby's Inn and a $500 gift card for dining and activities. Celebrate America. Experience Bryce Canyon. Plan your trip now at rubysinn.com. That's rubysinn.com.
Life doesn't slow down. it evolves. And the best chapters, well, they're still ahead. Introducing Let's Get Moving, presented by Ovation Homes, a brand new Sunday morning show designed to inspire your next step forward. Join KSL's Maria Chaleos alongside Ovation Homes' Amber Weikstra as they explore what it really means to live with purpose, from strengthening your body and mind to discovering new passions, creating beautiful, functional living spaces, building healthy communities, and finding balance in your finances, family, and future. In addition, glean insight from timely guest experts, bringing real-life experience and valuable advice you don't want to miss. This isn't about slowing down. It's about moving forward with meaningful conversations, practical ideas, and inspiration you can actually use to create a life and home you truly love. Because your best years start at Ovation Homes. Start your Sunday morning inspired from 5:30 to 6:30 on KSL.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do still have some residual delays on northbound I-15 after traffic was stopped at the south interchange due to some emergency maintenance. It's a little slow at 114th South, and then still slow approaching the south interchange just after 90th South. And then you clear up towards Salt Lake once it's, but then it's slow again at 3300 South. Southbound I-15, we do have an accident. This is at near Glover's Lane. They're out of traffic and in the right shoulder. There's actually some light delays a little bit further south than that as the West Davis corridor merges. But those are your main slow spots on I-15. We do have an accident at that slow spot northbound 3300 South, but they are also out of traffic. IFA's Step 3 fertilizer gives your lawn the nutrients it needs to stay green in the summer heat. IFA Country Stores, helping to grow the things you love. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today it'll be pretty warm with highs in the upper 80s, but tomorrow prepare for some real summer heat. Highs hitting 97 degrees, and summer weather will continue into Father's Day weekend, but the highs are going to drop a little bit into the upper 80s, so it'll be a little more comfortable as you go out there and barbecue. Right now it's 76 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, because we're nerdy, we think this is super cool, but we're talking about races that will, the primary races, and the primary election is Tuesday. Ballots have to be in by 8 p.m., and I'm already seeing from state election officials saying you cannot mail your ballot. It's too late. You have to use a drop box or take it in person. Okay.
Oh, to be safe, yeah.
To be safe, because it has to be in the county clerk's hand by 8 p.m. So I wanted to talk about some of the other races, and one of the things for me that is interesting is in the state of Utah, we don't see a lot of primaries among Democrats. So we see a lot among Republicans, but I wanted to talk to you about a couple. So the Salt Lake County District Attorney's race, Sim Gill has a challenger. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I don't think he's had anybody who's challenged him for re-election in the Democratic Party.
Okay. Is this the first time?
Yeah, I believe this is the first time he's had a primary.
A primary.
And he's served as the DA probably 4 terms, maybe this is his 5th, but he served for quite a while. I know I ran against him when he was first running, but I got knocked out in convention. That was probably
I know how that goes.
20 years. Yeah, it was no fun. But anyway, he's got a challenger, a fellow named Sean Robinson, who is currently at the Attorney General's office, a prosecutor there. Sim has if you recall, at the county convention, Sean came within a few votes of
knocking him out
because Sim didn't have signatures.
Yeah.
Knocking him out. I think this could go entirely differently at the general election, or excuse me, the primaries rather, because Sim has more name recognition. Sean Robinson has been active. I've seen a lot of his commercials, maybe just because I'm online, but he does a lot of online stuff. And Sim has taken a little bit of heat over some decisions he's made. Of course, he's the DA, so he's going to be in the crosshairs with respect to charging police officers. He recently got sued along with other members of his staff over a controversy involving a police officer who had a arguably inappropriate relationship with one of his prosecutors that resulted in that police officer getting a case charged that maybe shouldn't have. The case got dismissed. All kinds of controversy came out on that, and Sim was sued, although I think his involvement with that was pretty tangential. I do think, with all respect to Sean, who I know is a very, very skilled lawyer, that Sim's probably in the driver's seat on that one. And that one, Sim's got a Republican challenger as well.
Yeah, he's always had a Republican challenger.
Yeah, always. And it's several times it's been somebody within his own department.
Office.
But this time he's got a Republican challenger. I'll think of his name in just a minute. But he's a very skilled lawyer also. And so, yeah, the fight's not over for whoever wins that race. There will be a good Republican challenger.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of other Democratic races. These are House races, and these are safe D seats. At least I think they are. So one is HD 34. Aaron Jemison and Julie Jackson. Now, those names may not be familiar to listeners because that seat has been held for quite a long time by Carol Spackman Moss.
Oh, okay, because it's not familiar to me, too. And I'm like, who are these people?
She decided not to run again, to retire, right? She had been in for quite a while. So it's an open seat. Pretty safe. In fact, not only is it a pretty safe Democrat seat, it is a guarantee because there's no Republican challenger for this
seat. Well, there you go.
When you get to November.
Spackman Moss served a long time.
She did.
Was she there when you served?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so she's been there for a bit.
She's been there for a long time.
Yeah, and very popular,
Yep.
and very well-respected educator, I think.
So I think Julie Jackson is an educator. I could be wrong. Aaron Jemison has done a lot of work with domestic violence, and Aaron was the convention choice. She at least won in convention. She didn't hit 60%, but they're both on the Democratic ballot for HD 34. Also in HD 40 is another seat. I think it's safe Democrat. I could be wrong. Andrew Stoddard is the incumbent, and he's being challenged by Wendy Davis.
And Andrew has served several terms, so it must be a fairly comfortable term. He's an attorney, someone that I know personally because he used to be the Murray City prosecutor, so he and I had a lot of cases together. He's now working at, I think, a personal injury firm, and is a good lawyer. I haven't had a lot of involvement with him as a legislator, although I've seen him work on some things, and he's pretty active out there. Wendy Davis, I do not know very well at all, but I'm surprised that Andrew's having a challenger. Somebody must be concerned about what he's doing.
So Wendy's platform, and I've been connected with her on social media, but her platform is a voice that shows up, she's saying, and she is saying that working class families need a government that works for them and not for corporate interest or political insiders, which, to be honest, is very similar to what you see in any type of challenger to an incumbent, right? You hear that all the time. I'm going to be your voice on Capitol Hill. I'm going to be your voice in Washington, D.C. So that because she's challenging an incumbent, you have to set yourself apart and say what's different.
Yeah. And that race has not received a lot of attention, although it may have in that particular area.
In that area, right? And that's why we're talking about some of these, is because they're more localized, right? Because there are 75 House districts and there are 29 Senate districts in the state of Utah. So they're smaller.
I want to talk about House District 16, the Republican primary.
And that one is super interesting, too, because that one is Trevor Lee, who is the incumbent, and Bob Stevenson, who is he county commissioner right now? He is up there.
Right.
So
Trevor Lee's had some
controversy. He's had some controversy. So what's interesting about the Trevor Lee race is he has been in a primary each time. I think the first time he ran, maybe he wasn't in a primary the first time he ran because he defeated Steve Handy at convention. And then Steve tried to do a write-in campaign for the general and was not successful, and that's how Trevor won. And then the next time, which was 2 years ago, he had a Republican challenger who had been the chair of the Republican Party, Daniela Harding. He defeated her pretty easily in the primary. And then this time he has Bob Stevenson, who is now he's got some name recognition. So if that was an issue previously, now Bob Stevenson has some name recognition. So we'll see.
And Trevor Lee has had a former employer actually do some ads about him. Isn't he the one that they accused him of
yes, of not paying, I think,
right.
for some construction stuff,
Right,
or trying to use his position as a political, say, don't you know who I am? And I'm gonna funnel some work your way. So I think Trevor Lee has disavowed that, but there's also some past controversy where he said, yeah, I said that, but I shouldn't have.
Right.
But so that's an interesting
that's a
race.
race that's getting some attention. Again, when I drive my
absolutely.
route, Trevor Lee's got signs all over the place.
Yeah, he's a pretty controversial lightning rod up there, not only for that area but for the state as well. And then we're really short on time, but I just want to mention the Utah County Clerk, Aaron Davidson. He's in a race against Corey Astle down in Utah County. And Aaron has been embroiled in a lot of controversy. Mike McKell had his ballot, he felt like, singled out specifically by name. And so Senator McKell has endorsed Corey Astle. Interestingly, I saw this week Derek Brown, the sitting attorney general, has endorsed Corey Astle. And Aaron Davidson is the one who hired Kai Schwimmer, who is a very controversial figure. And you had more than 80 elected and former elected female officials and business leaders, I was one of them, say, we're really concerned about this guy who doesn't think there should be universal suffrage.
Right. Or that women should serve in politics.
Or that women have the temperament to serve in politics.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage on the upcoming primary. And I thought this story was super interesting because the number of requested Democratic ballots for Utah's 1st congressional district has dwarfed the numbers from previous years. We're going to talk about that.
Amanda, every business needs IT help. And sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't. Or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
Ready for your next Utah adventure? Enter KSL News Radio's America 250 contest for your chance to win an unforgettable Bryce Canyon getaway. One lucky winner will receive a 2-night stay at Ruby's Inn, the perfect home base for exploring the breathtaking beauty of Bryce Canyon National Park. Plus, you'll get a $500 gift card to use on dining, activities, and making memories along the way. Enter today at kslnewsradio.com/win. Sponsored by Ruby's Inn.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to you at a campsite play his acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Got an expensive AC replacement or repair quote? Get a free second opinion with Vyrock Heating and Cooling. Call or text 801-306-8360 or visit VyrockAir.com. VAIRockair.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, I've never done this, Holly, but I know a lot of Democrats have registered as Republicans when they can get a ballot so they can vote in primary elections because, frankly, let's be honest, the Democrats don't have very many primary elections. So I know a lot of them that say, hey, I just want to be able to vote and participate in the process, so I'm going to register as a Republican so I can vote. We've had a little change in that.
So one thing to know is that Republican primaries are closed, and you do have to be a registered Republican to vote at them. Democratic primaries are not closed. Anybody can vote in them, but you cannot vote in 2. You can't vote in the Democratic primary and a Republican primary. But it does allow for unaffiliated voters or Republican voters to request ballots. The thing that's different and that's interesting to me is that you have to specifically request it. And you have to do it by either showing up in person at the voting booth, or you have to go to the county clerk.
Okay, so if you're a registered Democrat, you get a Democratic primary ballot.
That's right.
If you want to vote in the Democratic primary, you don't have to be a registered Democrat, but you have to request a ballot.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct. And so what we've seen, and this is CD1, so we've talked about that race before. There are 4 candidates for this new congressional district, 4 Democratic candidates. There was no primary on the Republican side. So what happened, or what is happening, is 6,700 people have requested a ballot that are not registered Democrats. So that, I think, is super interesting.
So let's break it down, because I think, just in my own thought, I've figured there's probably 3 reasons for this, maybe more, maybe many more. Some people may just want to vote, like just have a stake in the game.
Sure.
Some people may feel that they want, if they're a Republican, to maybe put the weak Democrat in office or in position so that the Republican has a better chance. And some may feel like they just want the best Democrat to come out ahead. So I don't know which of those occurs, and maybe there's an equal number of each of those. But can you think of well, I guess you can think of anything, but a scenario where the Republicans might think, boy, let's get the weaker candidate so that the Republican challenger has a better chance against, let's face it, Ben McAdams.
Yeah, and there is some thought that might be occurring. However, I will say this. When Democrats have tried that, it hasn't worked, right? When people have tried it, it just hasn't worked, because people are just like, look, I'm going to go, and typically you vote for the person that you think is the best person. So we know that at least one of the candidates in that race, Ben McAdams, has been reaching out to Republicans, because he knows that race, even though there are a larger number of registered Democrats. There are still a large number of registered Republicans, and there's an even larger number of unaffiliated voters, which means they haven't chosen a party. He's been actively campaigning to them and encouraging them to vote.
And frankly, 6,700 doesn't seem like a big number to me.
It's a 415% increase.
Oh, wow.
From 2022.
Well, in terms of that, in terms of requesting a ballot, it's
That's
a
right.
huge increase.
Requesting
but in terms
a
of
ballot.
Salt Lake County voter, well, maybe in a primary, it's a big number.
So here are some of the numbers, which I, again, thought was interesting. So this is coming from KUER, and KUER said that Salt Lake County Clerk Lanny Chapman showed that there have been a total of 7,500 mail-in ballots, Democratic mail-in ballots requested, but 6,700 of those are in the 1st District. But in 2022, only 1,300 were requested. So that's a really big increase. I'm trying to find out the number, I thought I had seen it, of how many typically go out from the state, and right now I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
So
that may
I was
be
trying to
interesting
answer your
see
question,
what
and I didn't.
Salt Lake County's numbers are at a primary election. I mean 6,700 is nothing to sneeze at. I just wonder if that could make a difference to any particular candidate.
Well, I think it can, especially in a 4-way race. I think that number could make a difference, right? Because this race
That's true.
could be somebody who wins a plurality but not a majority.
And it almost certainly will be. If you look at the polling
It
numbers.
depends, right? Yeah.
Because it looks like what we're seeing is, I think it was Bluen's numbers, and who knows where he got those, but he had McAdams at like 37% and him at 27%, and the other two sort of dividing up the rest. So that was his take with respect to the other two more progressive candidates is, hey, McAdams is vulnerable, but only if we decide as the three of us which one of us is the stronger. Of course, he knew which the answer to that was going to be, and the other two could withdraw, but the other two said, we're not having anything to do with that.
Yeah, so I just think it's interesting. So the process is a little bit different. It's not going to automatically show up in your mailbox, but if you request one or if you show up at the ballot voting location on Tuesday, you can get a ballot. If you live in the district, of course, you can't come in from outside the district. If you live in the district, you can show up there.
I think some people might just have the whole civic duty thing. Like, I want to vote. I want to vote, and I'll vote for the best candidate. We'll see what that does, because let's assume Bluen's numbers are accurate, and McAdams gets a bigger or lower number than 37%.
Mm-hmm.
That number may have been swayed by this.
It's possible, right? And so that's one of the things I think that we can look at is voter turnout. And we've talked about this before on our show. People show up when they're excited to vote. And if they feel like it doesn't make a difference, then a lot of times they don't show up. They just say, it's not worth it, right? My vote doesn't mean anything. This race has generated a ton of interest among Democratic voters. And so I think what we'll see is a very big turnout for CD1. Now, other places in the state may not be as large, right? Because it's a foregone conclusion that XYZ person's going to win, right? Or whatever it is. So typically, midterm primary elections have a lower voter turnout. Primary elections have lower voter turnout anyway. But I think CD1, I think we're going to see pretty hefty voter turnout.
Right. And I live in the 2nd congressional district, Blake Moore's district, so we don't even have a primary. I didn't even get a ballot.
Right.
I don't get to vote. I'm a registered Democrat. I don't get to vote for anybody. But I would say this. I talked about the convention a little bit with for the 1st congressional district. You talked about voter excitement and voter turnout. And with the Democrats being a little more enthused, that was a pretty exciting convention because there were 4 candidates. There is a chance, maybe a good chance, that a Democrat will be elected to that district. We don't know that yet. There's still a lot of Republicans in Salt Lake County. I think it's going to be closer than some Democrats think, but it probably leans toward the Democrat. Let's face it.
Yes, but even distribution-wise, there are more Republicans in the south end of the county than there are in the downtown area of the county. So that's where I think you see some of the Republicans. And in fact, there are Republican legislators in Salt Lake County, but in the downtown part, it skews pretty Democratic.
Yeah, and that convention produced 4 candidates because everybody got signatures.
That's right.
It didn't matter.
The 2 that came out of the convention process were Liban Mohammed and Ben McAdams. And Liban, you guys did the
ranked choice.
The ranked choice voting, and he got 51-something% of the vote, and Ben McAdams would have gotten the rest of it, right? 48-something% by the time you got done. So those 2 were out anyway. And I think they both also got signatures. And then we have the other two challengers. So we've got Nate Bluin and Michael Farrell. And they ended up on the ballot because of signatures. So,
but to Bluin's point, that ranked choice voting was interesting, Holly, because at the first round, McAdams was way ahead.
Yeah.
Second round, not quite as much ahead. The third round, barely ahead. Fourth round, he's behind because it was either Ben McAdams or one of the other
else.
three. And
that's
so
right.
it was interesting. And that's why I think Bluin is saying, hey, we all
that's right.
divide up and conquer.
That if everybody, and remember, Bluin wanted people to drop out. He wanted the other two to drop out of the race and endorse him so they could have one moderate, I'm in quotes, one moderate and one progressive on the ballot. Instead, we have three progressives and one more moderate.
And Liban Mohammed came out of that convention, a name nobody had heard about, but boy, did he raise the roof. And McAdams, actually, all four of them did a good job. The Democrats were so kind. I mean, nobody got heckled or booed. There was some people in the audience that were concerned about McAdams and his stance with the fight in, I don't know, Gaza, and what we're doing there, the Palestinians. But anyway.
I wanted to just, we're almost done, but I wanted to read, this is from a Deseret News story about the very same issue about these 6,700 ballots. There'll end up being more at the end of the day. There's a Republican voter, and they named her Jackie Martin. She wanted to vote because she wants to have the best representation for that area. And she feels like Ben McAdams is actually the best. And she says this, she says, for a lot of Republicans, there's sort of a purity test to it. They think if you associate in any way with Democrats that it affects your party affiliation. She says, it just doesn't. I want the best person back there for this area, and I think that person is Ben McAdams.
Well, and I hope that's why people are getting those ballots, but that may not be the case. When we come back, we broke the news earlier, but a judge has dismissed a rape case against a former BYU football player, Parker Kingston. We'll talk about how that occurred and why when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good morning. It is 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Tammy Kikuchi. KSL's top story this hour, the rape charge against a former BYU football player is being dismissed, but with a chance the case could come back in the future. The case against wide receiver Parker Kingston was dismissed without prejudice. That means the facts of the case still aren't settled, which leaves the door open for refiling the charges. Prosecutors had been asking for a delay to have more time to work on with Kingston's accuser. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Marijuana is not a reason to prevent you from owning a firearm, according to a ruling today from the U.S. Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court's decision was unanimous, ruling that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional, especially as applied to a Texas man who simply consumed marijuana several times a week and was prosecuted.
ABC's Devin Dwyer reporting. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the opinion. He says it's a narrow one that limits but does not end the government's power to take guns away from drug users. Well, U.S. gas prices are dropping after word of a ceasefire agreement with Iran. The current average of a gallon of regular gasoline unleaded is $3.99 nationwide, the first time it's been below $4 since March. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 151 points at 51,643. The S&P is up 75 points at 7,495, and the NASDAQ is up 371 to 26,393. Coming up, sunny and hot is the name of the game. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's a Little Minds, Big Hope message from Dr. Kyle Smith, the Children's Center Utah's child and adolescent psychiatrist.
Did you know that moves, divorce, illness, or the loss of a loved one can affect infants and young children long before they know how to talk about it? Life changes impact people of all ages. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Summer shines a little brighter in Logan, Utah. Start your day on a canyon trail, cool off by the water, or cruise into the mountains for views that go on for miles. Then wander downtown for local shops, live theater, fresh flavors, and a scoop of small-town charm. From outdoor adventure to arts, dining, and easygoing summer nights, Logan delivers the summer getaway you didn't know you needed. Make this summer refreshingly fun in Logan. Plan your trip today at explorelogan.com. Summer takes center stage in Logan, Utah. Late May through August, Logan comes alive with theater, music, art, and can't-miss performances worth planning a getaway around. Catch a show, explore local galleries, stroll downtown, and enjoy a delicious dinner before the curtain rises. With mountain adventures by day and standing ovations by night, Logan turns summer into something refreshingly unexpected. Make your next getaway a little more dramatic, in the very best way. Plan your escape to the heart of the arts at explorelogan.com.
Picture this. You pull into your driveway, and for the first time in a long time, you will love what you see. Beautiful new siding, bright energy-efficient windows, gutters that protect your home year-round, and a deck that makes the backyard feel brand new. Not someday, not after one more year. With RGS Exteriors, the home you've been wanting can start today.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
We now have 2 accidents northbound I-15 just after 3300 south before you get to the I-80-201 interchange. It looks like they're both out of traffic and in the right shoulder, but not before they cause some delays that are lasting later in the day than normal. It slows start at 4500 south and reaches up to the cleanup near the I-80-201 interchange. But again, after that, that's about all the delays we're seeing across the Wasatch Front. We don't even see the delays left over in Davis County from the crashes earlier this morning. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny and hot today with a high of 89, but it'll be even hotter tomorrow with increased fire risk, and we'll top out at 97 degrees. Right now, it is... Hold on. What is it? It is. Where is my check? 77 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio from the Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we had some breaking news that we broke just about an hour ago on this show that charges against former BYU football player, he was a wide receiver, Parker Kingston, were dropped by a judge in southern Utah. He was accused down there, Holly, of rape.
It's pretty serious.
Yeah, which is a very serious charge. It was filed in February of this year in the 5th District Court, so the crimes alleged to have occurred in the St. George area, at least in Washington County, was scheduled to go to trial, and the state was not ready to go. They asked for a continuance, and the judge says, I'm not continuing this anymore, and dismissed it.
That seems really interesting to me because we've seen the court cases that you and I talk about on here. It's like things get delayed all the time. So what made this different?
Well, I mean, I think that the judge is saying, look, at some point you got to put up or shut up. Now, the case wasn't old by any means, filed in February. The state needed more time. The judge apparently got frustrated with the state. I'm just looking at some of the comments that he made to them about, hey, you guys ready to go? Well, we need more time. Our victim needs this, the victim needs that. And the judge is like, no, we're either going to trial on a date you scheduled or we're dismissing it. And they said, we can't go. So he said, I'm dismissing it. It is incredibly rare for a judge to do that, especially on a case that is filed in February. We're in June, like 4 months old.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, an accused has a right under the Constitution to a speedy and public trial. So the judge might have felt that this was just another delay. And of course, there are several remedies the state has, not the least of which is just refile it because it's dismissed without prejudice, which means it can be refiled at any time.
So help me understand, because I can never remember. With prejudice means
you're done.
You're done, but like, is prejudice is it like a legal term? It's not like used in the common way we use it in everyday language.
Well, no, it's if you recall, the military will say, with extreme prejudice. That's the same. That's the same connotation.
But when I think prejudice, I think, well, you have a different skin color than me, so
yeah, it is. It's its own word. Prejudice means. It's not like Jeopardy. We have double jeopardy.
Right, I get that.
Prejudice means that it just means you can't rebring it. I mean, it kind of has its own definition. I don't know why we use that word.
Okay.
But we do.
Okay.
Now, I would say this, maybe defense or criminal lawyers would disagree with me, is you can't really dismiss a criminal case with prejudice. The only way a criminal case can be dismissed forever, in my opinion, is if there's jeopardy. Double jeopardy. You know what I mean? So I would say
they were found. Well, it went through a complete trial,
or at least the jury
process
was seated,
or something,
right?
And then you can't bring a second charge for the same crime,
right? Now, people will disagree with me, but I don't think a judge can dismiss a case with prejudice. They do, and we all abide by it and live with it. Anyway, in this case, it's without prejudice, means the state can do it. Now, I mentioned one of their remedies could be, okay, we'll just refile it. It's certainly within the statute of limitations because it's alleged to have occurred in, but it doesn't say. I can't find. The offense date is February of 25.
So it's like a year.
Yeah, so it was filed. It was a year before it was filed. Yeah, the offense is alleged to have occurred in February of 25. It was filed in February 26. But a crime like that has a 4-year statute of limitations, so it's not going anywhere. But again, they can refile it. One of the other things they can do, and that they've sort of hinted at doing, which would be highly unusual, is appeal the dismissal. Take it to the Court of Appeals and say, hey, you had no right to dismiss this case.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it would seem to me that the safer course would just be to refile it. If it's no prejudice, you just have to show why you've got some reason to refile it. The Court of Appeals could say to the judge, you had no reason to dismiss it. But we give judges a lot of discretion. And so I don't know that the appeal would make sense. Who knows what the state's going to do? They're not happy, and they're not going to let this go. Apparently, that's sort of what we're hearing right now.
So just while we've been talking, I was able to pull up a KSL.com article, thanks everybody, that said that the judge said that prosecutors delayed filing the case for a year so that the victim who came forward had time to prepare, and that he wasn't sure that giving them an extra 3 months, if she wasn't ready to testify now, what made people think that she would be ready in a few months from now? And then he said he was a little baffled that prosecutors were not asking to dismiss the case without prejudice to allow her to heal without a timeline. That's interesting to me, too. Do judges typically do that? It's like, we're going to let the victim heal before we take this case?
Well, I think what he's saying is the prosecutor is saying, we're not ready to go. Well, this victim needs more time to heal. He's like, well, she's had a year and
you're asking
4 months,
for 3 more
and now
months,
you want 3 more months for her to heal. That's not a good reason to continue a case for the victim to heal. If that's what happened, I'm not saying it did, but that's what it looks like.
So what do you think happens with Parker Kingston in the meantime?
Well, his charges are dismissed. I mean, if he's asked a question, have you ever been convicted of a crime, or have you currently being charged with a crime? The answer is no. He can move on with his life. Of course, without prejudice means it's hanging over his head a little bit, and he hasn't heard the end of the story. Who knows when the end of the story occurs? Will it be an appeal? The Court of Appeals reinstate the prosecution, or will the state just reinstate it on their own? Who knows? But for him, I would say the nightmare, whatever it is. The fact that he's charged with a crime is now over.
Well, when he was arrested, he got expelled from BYU and kicked off the football team.
Oh, you're wondering about that.
Well, I don't know that there is anything there.
That's an even better question. But although, even if, so his defense, as I understand it, was that it was a consensual relationship.
Right.
which could very well
It's
be
still a violation of the honor code
violation. So
Yeah.
they would have had reason to kick him off the team, whether it was consensual or not. It did occur down in the St. George area, although that's neither here nor there. And it did, there was some conversations between the two of them, at least according to the police reports, that it was, that there was some level of consent, and that would have been the defense. But the victim is saying it went further than I expected. Victims, and the judge makes a good point. It took you a year to file it, so you gave the victim some time. You clearly did appreciate her concern.
Yeah.
Don't file it yet. Let's wait till we're ready. But when a state files a case under the law, Holly, they have to be in a position where they're saying that there's a
we think we can win.
Right, today.
Yeah.
You can't file a case and say, we'll put it together in a year, knowing it's going to take a year. Because the defense can always say, I want my speedy trial, let's do it next month. Yeah. We usually think of the defense as continuing cases and postponing them, which they normally do. The state, when you file a case, you have to be, what you're saying is, we are ready to proceed with this case, and there's a substantial likelihood that we will prevail the day we file it.
What's interesting is I just saw some news stories this morning about Parker Kingston working out at BYU campus facilities with the football team. The BYU athletic department was a little terse in their response and said this wasn't a school-sponsored thing and we've handled it, whatever that means. But I saw an article, this one was from KUTV, but Nathan Evershed, who is a current defense attorney, not connected to the Parker Kingston case, but he said this, and you'll probably agree with this. There's two different arenas that play in this case, two courts going on. There's the court of public opinion and there's the court of law.
Yeah.
And now we know the court of law says there's no case right now.
Right. And who knows what the court of public opinion is going to be, because obviously something occurred. You've also got the honor code court, or whatever you want to call it. But
he's probably not. He's not going back to BYU, but
probably not. Although if he's working out with a team, he must think he's got something going on.
I don't know. Okay, look, what I do know is our next story has to do with celebrating America's 250th birthday with a 250-mile hike done in 9 days by Utah Senator John Curtis. What is he thinking? Actually, we're going to ask him that because he's going to join us coming up next.
Murphy's Law says that if your air conditioner is going to break down this summer, it's going to be when you least expect it and at the worst possible time. And for a lot of homeowners, the fear isn't just the breakdown. It's worrying about what happens next. Is this going to cost a fortune? Am I going to be pressured into replacing it? Can somebody just help me figure out what's wrong? At Any Hour Services, that's exactly what we're here for. Maybe your system just needs maintenance to help prevent breakdowns before they happen. Maybe a part failed, and a simple repair gets you back up and running quickly. Or maybe your system's getting older, repairs are adding up, and you think replacing it makes more sense. Whatever the situation, we'll walk you through your options, answer your questions, and make sure you have the information you need to make the decision that's right for your home and your budget. Maintenance, repair, or replacement, you choose what's right for you. That's how Any Hour Services works. Options, not pressure. Call Any Hour Services next time you need help with your air conditioner. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Do you use AI? Do your neighbors or colleagues? New Microsoft findings show how AI use is spreading across the U.S., highlighting where adoption is highest at both the state and county level. Microsoft President and Vice Chair Brad Smith has more.
Over 30% of working-age Americans are using AI, but while the U.S. leads in innovation, it ranks just 21st in global adoption, due in part to uneven use across the country.
The report highlights widening urban-rural gaps, but college towns like Williamsburg, Virginia, and Story, Iowa stand out, showing some of the highest AI usage rates globally.
As demand grows, AI will become a foundational technology on par with the internet. It'll reshape how people learn and work. Closing the AI adoption gap will be key to ensuring its economic benefits are shared more broadly.
View the report and see how your state compares at aka.ms/USAI diffusion.
Hi, it's Greg Skordas. When I turned 60, I started gaining weight, and it wasn't just a little bit. It became 10 pounds, 20 pounds, and it started approaching 30 pounds, and whatever I was doing wasn't working. So I contacted SOTA Diet Nutrition at the suggestion of some of the people here at KSL, and they said, try it. There's no pills, there's no injections. It's all based on diet. They hooked me up with a nutritionist, they hooked me up with a coach, and they told me that I could plan on losing something between 3 and 5 pounds a week. After 6 weeks, I had lost 26 pounds, and after 7 weeks, I had reached my target, and I'm now at the maintenance stage. They hooked me up with something they call their dynamic diet because their nutritionists are specially trained to customize a dynamic plan for each person. Everyone has different food sensitivities, responses, weaknesses, lifestyles, habits, and behaviors, so a one-size-fits-all diet approach doesn't work. Dynamic diet highlights that personalized approach, and it worked for me. SOTA Diet Nutrition, SOTA, that's SOTADietNutrition.com. Remember, SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Inside Sources.
Well, Utah Senator John Curtis plans on celebrating America's 250th birthday in hiking style. Hiking 1 mile for every year in our nation's history, but he's doing it in a really compressed time frame, just 9 days.
There's no way he's going to hike 250 miles in
9 days?
9
Absolutely.
days.
It's like 30-something miles a day.
He's my hero if he can do that.
He's right there. Look, he's joining us right there to talk about his patriotic trek. Thanks for joining us, Senator Curtis.
Oh, well, I am happy to be here, but Greg, game on.
You're wearing a tie. You're not hiking any miles today.
He's not hiking today. It starts next week.
All right.
Look, I also have to say happy birthday to your wife, Sue. Thanks.
Oh,
thanks,
good.
X. I see your post to her, so happy birthday, Sue. Can you just tell us about this hike? First of all, where did you come up with this idea?
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and I didn't want this 250 to come and go and have it be another July 4th. I just felt like this is a big deal. And as I thought about what I could do that I really enjoyed and would highlight the founding, our state founders, our national founders, I hatched this idea, not knowing just how incredibly complicated it would become.
Yeah, it has to be. So
just logistically, right?
Yeah. So
yeah,
250 miles in 9 days. Do the math.
The first day that I fly from DC the night before, so we'll get a little bit of late start on Friday morning, and then the final day we end at the Stadium of Fire on July 4th, and so that'll be a little shorter day. So we're going to pretty close to averaging 30 miles a day.
Have you got a posse with you? You've got a group walking?
Well, that's part of the complication. We are on roads where we have to worry about safety. So there's just a lot of layers of complication. We've invited a lot of county commissioners and mayors to walk with me along the way. A lot of good friends and family will walk with me along the way. But to be honest, I'm looking forward to some just quiet John time walking through this beautiful state that we have and reflecting on our founders and the values of our founders.
Nothing like that.
Am I remembering correctly that you have done some hike with Senator Curtis things, the walk and talk with constituents? You've done that in the past too, haven't you?
We have. We did it the very first year that I was in Congress. We did a hike up Mount Timpanogos, and those people still go on an annual hike with me. And we've hiked the Provo River Trail in kind of an informal town hall meeting where people can pop in and out along the trail. And I just find when I'm out in nature, I think everybody's at their best.
Have you got the route planned out? Well, I don't need to know the details, but have you got?
I can tell you, Greg, the details that have gone into figuring out the route. Keeping off the busy roads is one of our biggest challenges. Staying safe is one of our biggest challenges. Where we're on, for instance, state roads, we've had to get permits. And so the route planning has been very, very complicated, and we have it down to the very, very last minute. When I walk on the stage at Stadium Fire, I'll cross the 250 miles.
That's incredible.
Let me ask you this, because I've planned just family stuff, right? There's always things that go wrong. So what contingencies are you planning for? Blisters, weather, bugs? I don't know.
I think weather is kind of the most uncontrollable, and the reality of it is I'm just going to have to walk through it. You can't get behind by 30 miles a day and make it up the next day. I've been doing some trial runs to 30 miles a day. I did one last Monday. I've found out it's actually takes more energy to walk on a dirt road than an asphalt road. We've tried, figuring out what I'll eat along the way. And the deal is, if I get blisters, if I get sore, I've just got to keep walking, or else we're not going to make the 250 miles.
I take it you're going to hit a lot of counties and a lot of parts of the state in 250
Yeah,
miles.
we start way up on the northern border, and then come down through, and then, like I say, wind away our ways around a few different places. And the last day, this is kind of fun, and we'll do 17.76 miles on the last day.
Clever.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And here again, the whole goal is to highlight what a significant thing it is to hit this 250th anniversary, the values of our founders, both of the nation and of the state. I'm convinced part of our problem today is when we stray from those values that founded this country and the state. I think that's a mistake. So how can we possibly go wrong talking about the values of our founders, right?
So I had a question this morning when I was on the morning news talking about how you were going to join us on Inside Sources, and they said, "Well, what is he doing? He's sleeping on a tent next to I-15." I said, "I don't think so, but I would ask."
Yeah. So part of the plan is the Curtis family RV.
Oh, good.
That's a good plan.
And I'm very fortunate to have some people who will move it ahead to where I'll sleep, and then I don't have to move my clothes into a hotel or transport to a hotel. And I've insisted that the RV park in the exact spot and not move, so that nobody can say, "Well, you rode in the RV for part of the way." It's exactly where I'll end up, and then I'll leave it in the morning, and somebody will move it to the next spot.
Have you got family, did you say, coming with you?
Part of the way, yes. I've got 19 grandkids, and just here again, the logistics and the safety issues are going to limit that just a little bit. But as much as we can, we're going to fit in family and friends and elected officials and let everybody celebrate with us.
You're going to get stopped by a lot of locals who want to talk to you and shake
Well,
your
not
hand.
stop, because you can't stop.
Right, but they're gonna try to stop you at least. Hey, stop here and have a sandwich with us or whatever. But you got to press on. 30 miles in a day that's hard to do if you're running.
The strategy is, obviously the heat is going to dictate a very early morning start. I'm going to be starting as early as 3:30 or 4. And if I can get 20 miles in by 10 or 11 in the morning, that lets me slow down for the rest of the day to have those conversations. I think it'd be a shame to meet somebody along the way that wants to talk and not be able to stop and talk with them. So
they can walk alongside you.
Yeah, hopefully I can get a large chunk of it done very early, and then just be a little bit more casual
That's
about
really
the rest
smart.
of the day.
Yeah.
So the Deseret News published an op-ed from you about this hike, and I wonder if you've already mentioned the values. Can you also share the pioneer heritage component of it?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the fun things about doing this hike through Utah. We're actually starting in the town where my grandfather was sent by Brigham Young. My mother was raised there. And we plan to highlight these pioneer values along the way. And just, if you rattle a few of them off, you think of hard work, you think of family, faith, patriotism, thriftiness, values that we could use today. And I just think it's a really good opportunity to highlight how the values our state was founded on.
So, Senator, if we are not wanting to hike in the heat with you, I will send you all my good wishes. But how can we follow along with this trek? You're pretty good on social media. Can we expect that will continue?
It'll be on social media. Opportunities to connect with me will be there. So just anybody that wants to follow, you can find my social media at curtis.senate.gov. And would love to have people follow. I'd love their encouragement. I'd love to hear what they think about the values of our founders and the ones that we need to emulate, and hopefully we can start some fun conversations.
All right, what a fun idea. Thanks for joining us.
We're going to let you go. We know you've got places to be.
Okay.
Thanks so much, and we'll be following your trip, which begins next week.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Senator Curtis.
Yeah, and thanks for giving us the time this morning. He was very generous. I mean, what a fun idea. Because I was wondering how he's going to do it. But yeah, you get up at 3 or 4 in the morning. You don't have a lot of people bugging you at that time of day.
Well,
either.
that's true, and it's significantly cooler.
But you've also got to have a car near you because you've got to have lights and.
Well, you can have lights while you walk.
But I mean, I would think you'd want some level of safety. But they've got it planned out, 250 miles.
Well, and I have to give a shout out to the team that planned it out. And I know some of the people on that team, and they're like, this has been harder than planning a wedding. So shout out to them. Look, I think as we have talked a lot about America 250 as we're getting closer and closer, there's just a lot of different ways. And in fact, one of the things for America 250 Utah was to do a 250-mile hike. But what they recommended is that you do it over a year.
Yeah, you've got the whole year to do it.
That's right. It's like do a couple miles here and there, right? And it adds up to 250. But he's doing it in 9 days. So
he must be in good health.
He's in very good shape. He is.
He looks like he is. Yeah. It looks like somebody that takes very good
he is.
care of
He does a lot of hiking. In fact, the picture that he posted for his wife Sue's birthday today, they're hiking in one of the canyons, and they just barely did that. They were down in southern Utah hiking. So he does a lot of that.
He should got a shoe sponsor,
I know.
And have him follow him.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, maybe he did.
I don't know how that works.
Maybe he can't. Yeah.
The Senate. So look, it's just, I think it's really fun, and I don't know if you're like, you could do a 250-mile bike ride. Well, maybe not. Maybe you used to be able to do a 250-mile bike ride. I can't do any of that stuff.
I used to do for 20 straight years. I did a 206-mile bike race in one day.
Wow!
And I haven't done it for a couple of years. It goes from Logan to Jackson Hole. I did it for 20 straight years. I'm going to do it again next year because I turned 70.
Yeah.
I want to do it when I'm 70.
That's awesome. I have done 250 miles of fabric sewing. I think. I mean, all the sewing I've done.
That's just as important. Yeah. Hey, well, when we come back, we're going to continue getting ready for Father's Day. It's coming up on
Sunday.
And we'll discuss changes that happens to the brains of new parents. We already talked about the fact that fathers can suffer from
postpartum depression.
Something
and now we're finding out it changes dad's brains.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back.
Good morning. It's 11:29 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tammy Kikuchi. KSL's top local story this hour. Rape charges against a former BYU wide receiver have been dismissed, but the door is open to refile them in the future. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce reports.
Prosecutors had been asking for a delay in the case against Parker Kingston, who stands accused of a 2025 rape in southern Utah. They wanted more time to work with Kingston's accuser. So today, instead of granting that delay, the judge in the case dismissed the charges without prejudice. That means because the facts weren't settled, prosecutors could file again in the future.
Kingston was out on bail already at the time of the dismissal. 2 more men have been arrested in connection to a shooting near several schools in Kearns back in March. Unified Police say 2 people carried out the shooting, critically injuring a man and sending 3 schools into secure protocol, and a 3rd person was driving the car that they fled. Investigators believe the shooting could be gang-related. Knicks fans have been going crazy since the big win, but Utah Jazz fans may be just as crazy on any given day. In a new poll from The Atlantic, the Delta Center ranked 4th for the most obnoxious fans. The poll talked to 150 different NBA players, and 8% of them say the Utah arena is just too much. Boston was voted the most obnoxious, followed by Philadelphia and New York. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 223 points to 51,716. S&P up 88 to 7,508. And the NASDAQ up 442 to 26,464. Coming up, we get a little break in our fire risk today, but not for long. KSL weather and traffic are next. KSL News Time at 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary. A peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to OGG.com to find a retailer near you. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
How will we ever defeat the British?
By remembering what we're fighting for. General, a country of our own. That will one day celebrate 250 years. How will we celebrate, sir? By going to Strong Volkswagen, where every vehicle is a dime.
A dime, sir?
Yes, one dime down at Strong Volkswagen. Hear, hear! With great price reductions on 250 vehicles.
It sounds glorious, sir.
Oh, it is. Lease new 2026 Jetta S, just $235 a month, $235. All-wheel drive Atlas, just $432 a month. And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. And financing, sir? Those with a job and a dime shall drive away.
One dime down.
The 250 sales event.
Save thousands with event pricing on 250 vehicles.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown, strongvw.com.
Strongvw.com.
And no tax, right, sir?
Well, for details, call 801-596-2200.
Doug Wright, and I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized Connecticut independent dealer. Now, Monty, don't all of the other water softeners require us to basically trust our home's water to electronics? If a power surge happens, a fried circuit board, or the power just goes out suddenly, aren't you back to scrubbing hard water scale and dry skin?
Yes, we believe the best technology is simple. That's why Connecticut's premium systems are non-electric. While other softeners rely on finicky computers and electronics, Connecticut runs on the kinetic energy of moving water. Nothing to plug in, no buttons to push, and zero electricity.
I've had a Connecticut soft water system in my home for many years, and I've never had to do anything to it except occasionally add a little salt. And I love that it never requires me to set or program anything. Dee loves that she always has the soft water. So do what I did and go to softwaterutah.com to learn how your family can enjoy the benefits of soft water without the hassles of traditional water softeners. That's softwaterutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
We still have a little bit of slowing and backup from a couple of crashes that occurred northbound I-15 near 33rd South in South Salt Lake. So if you are traveling northbound right now, you'll see some heavy and sometimes slower traffic after 4500 South up to the I-80-201 junction. This 4th of July, hit Bear Lake. Garden City welcomes Starship with Mickey Thomas, plus food, fun, activities, and fireworks. Enjoy a free concert. Visit bearlake.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, it's sunny and hot today with a high of 89. You'll be even hotter tomorrow with an increased fire risk. We'll top out at 97 dry degrees. Currently in downtown Salt Lake City under partly cloudy skies, 79 degrees. I'm Tammy Kikuchi from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We talked earlier this week about a study that surprised me, and that is, of course, we've always known that mothers suffer sometimes from postpartum depression, but fathers do too. I hadn't appreciated that, right? But I absolutely believe it. But we're also learning this, that, of course, mothers' brains will change during pregnancy and following childbirth. Fathers do too.
I love this story. So this is in the Washington Post, and it's pulling together a number of scientific studies. But there are changes in the brain. There are hormonal changes with dads that are just fascinating to me, because we also, recently we've talked about moms have hormonal changes, and We know that moms have changes in their brain. In fact, brain matter decreases, but they sometimes
in a good way.
But it's in a good way, and it happens with the dads too. And so what people are saying is it's actually an indication of neuroplasticity, which means that the brain is actually becoming more efficient and better at making connections. But it's so interesting to me that the very first way they start out is talking about dads having literally biological shifts in what's happening in their bodies as they become a dad.
You would think that through evolution, that the idea of having a child and having to protect the child as a family, mother and father, would be part of their development. That's how children ended up being raised appropriately, is that mom and dad did have something happen. So to me, this isn't particularly surprising, although it just has something I hadn't thought about before.
So what's interesting to me too is this article points out that it really seems to depend on the involvement of the father. So mothers, whether you give birth or not, mothers who give birth, whether you parent that child or not, there are changes that are going to happen to you because you gave birth to a child. For fathers and any other non-biological parent, so I would say even for me as an adoptive parent, a lot of the changes they're related to the interaction with the baby. And that the more involved you are, the more, and I would say better, changes happen with the parent and with the parenting.
So you think about having a child, especially a first child, and the good and the bad. Of course, you've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got to deal with the child that every time it cries. It's like total sleep deprivation. But there is nothing like having your child lay on your chest for the very first time and just smelling the child and just having it, just cuddle with you. And I don't know I don't mind other people's kids. I don't particularly get too close to other people's kids. Man, when it's your own, you cannot get enough. I agree. That love that you feel that you've never felt in your life before, I think has every reason to believe that it would change your brain and change your lifestyle.
It does, and it changes you. And here's one of the things that I think is super interesting as well. It bodes well for me. I'll just say this. So there was a 2025 study from the UK that analyzed more than 19,000 women and 17,000 men. Parents who had more children, that's me, increased functional connectivity in brain networks that tend to become sparse with aging. So it's neuroprotective for the aging brain. The more you parent kids, the more kids that you parent, the more protective it is to your brain. So I think that's super cool. It
does make sense. You're looking at this, and it took a study to bring it to the fore, but if you thought about it beforehand, you would have almost guessed some of these findings.
I don't know that I would have, right? I guess I hadn't thought about potential hormonal changes with dads, right? Certainly, like I know some of the studies with kangaroo care, for example, we've talked about that, where babies on the chest, right? Naked, skin to skin. Mm-hmm. And that there are changes that happen with the mom and with temperature regulation they don't occur the same way that they do with the mother, but the bonding does. And here's what's interesting to me with hormones. So oxytocin is the love hormone, right? Oxytocin helps create bonding. And they did this double-blind study with dads, and they gave some dads, it was just a nasal squirt of oxytocin, and some dads got a placebo. Well, with the dads who got the oxytocin, they physically interacted more with their babies and exhibited higher social engagement and emotional synchrony, meaning they were bound together with how the baby was doing, and the babies had higher levels of oxytocin and interacting with their father. Super interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'd like to see a study of what happens to a father's brain while his daughter has her teenage years. That would be interesting for me.
It is interesting, right? I mean, they say grandkids are the reward for letting your kids make it through the teenage years.
Seriously,
right. So look, I just think this is really an interesting discussion when you talk about heading into Father's Day, and there's obviously there's biology involved, and in our family, because we have such a large adoptive family, there's biology with other biological parents, but there's the emotional connection. I always had people ask me, do you love your kids the same? And I'm like, what a dumb question. Because yes, you do, right? Because they're my kids, and because you serve your children, you work with your children, you spend time with your children, of course you love them, right? And sometimes it's a little longer process creating that bond because when they come as 10-year-olds, they're already kind of established in some ways.
Right. I can't
right?
even
It takes a
imagine
little
what that's
longer.
like. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it turns out the same, right? So it always surprised me that people thought that it could be different. And here we're seeing right here with research, you don't have to give birth to be able to have an emotional connection with kids.
And you don't have to be with them during their infancy necessarily.
I mean, these studies are looking at infancy,
Right.
but yeah, right, you can create bonds. And of course, there's advertising even on this station about adopting older kids. I always told people it was more like an arranged marriage because, and only one side had input, because really the kids didn't have a lot of input on whether they got adopted or not. If they were old enough, the judge would ask them and they would say yes, because what else are they going to say?
Right.
But it took some time, right? That took some time. But
yeah, that's interesting to me. I mean, it's just something I don't think about. I'd like to talk to you sometime, not today, about bringing a child into your life who is not an infant. You know, that has to be. I know that's completely off topic, but it reminded me that would be something to talk about. I know we're just a few days away from Father's Day, but these studies that we're learning about fatherhood and what men experience with a new baby in their life, good and bad, have been really fascinating.
They're super interesting, and we're almost out of time. But there are studies about CUVAD. Have you ever heard of that?
Never.
CUVAD is a French word, and it's basically nurturing. But it really it gets to the point that there were men whose partners, when they're pregnant, men experience pregnancy symptoms. And I will tell you that my husband did that when I was pregnant. It was the weirdest thing, like nausea when I had morning sickness and heartburn when the babies were bigger. And I am telling you that my husband had pain under his ribs when I was very pregnant that was so bad he went to the doctor. They found nothing and it went away after I had the baby. I am telling you, he experienced the pregnancy physically while I was pregnant. He's not the only one, but it is something. And I wonder how much of this hormonal crossover maybe is a thing. But CUVAD.
Men ever have food cravings?
No, it's actually I don't remember that. But yes, CUVAD is a real thing. And now we're knowing postpartum changes for dads' brains too.
Yeah.
All right, look, stick around. We're going to wrap up our show with some fun facts, fun stories, and Greg's closing arguments. So stay with us.
Life doesn't slow down. It evolves. And the best chapters, well, they're still ahead. Introducing Let's Get Moving, presented by Ovation Homes, a brand new Sunday morning show designed to inspire your next step forward. Join KSL's Maria Chaleos alongside Ovation Homes' Amber Weikstra as they explore what it really means to live with purpose, from strengthening your body and mind to discovering new passions, creating beautiful, functional living spaces, building healthy communities, and finding balance in your finances, family, and future. In addition, glean insight from timely guest experts, bringing real-life experience and valuable advice you don't want to miss. This isn't about slowing down. It's about moving forward with meaningful conversations, practical ideas, and inspiration you can actually use to create a life and home you truly love. Because your best years start at Ovation Homes. Start your Sunday morning inspired from 5:30 to 6:30 on KSL.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast. on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Walt Phillips right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Walt is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Walt's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Squire, a leading accounting and advisory firm serving the Mountain West, recently expanded through the acquisition of Hinton Burdick. Northern Region Managing Partner Danny Barlow joins us with more about the firm's continued growth and commitment to personalized client service.
At Squire, accounting is the heart of what we do. We take the time to understand our clients' businesses, ensuring the financial services we offer are tailored to meet their unique needs and goals. But for us, it's not just about serving clients. It's about making a lasting impact in the communities where we live, work, and play. That commitment to long-term relationships and personalized service is what made bringing Hinton Burdick into the Squire family such a natural fit. This acquisition expands our presence across the Mountain West while bringing together two firms that share the same client-first mindset and dedication to their communities. By combining our teams, we're able to offer clients greater depth in audit, tax, advisory, technology, and outsourced accounting services while continuing to deliver the personalized approach that has defined Squire for more than 50 years. To learn more about Squire, visit squire.com.
By staying committed to personal relationships and community-focused service, Squire continues helping businesses across Utah and the Mountain West grow with confidence. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
There's someone on the other line saying they kidnapped my son and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So there's a fun story that I wanted to at least mention today. An ancient oak tree said to have sheltered legendary Robin Hood has died, they think. It's 1,200 years old. It's an oak tree literally in the Sherwood Forest, and it did not sprout leaves this spring. And so the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds said that they think, unfortunately, the tree has come to the natural end of its life.
It's got to be one of the longest living organisms on the planet. To think something could live for 1,200 years and think of everything that has occurred in that tree's lifetime, and even in its own area, you know, the storms and the people and everything.
And what I love is that it's in Sherwood Forest, and Robin Hood was a real person. And of course, I don't know how much of the steal from the rich to pay for the poor. I don't know how much of that is true, but Robin Hood was a real person. Sir John was a real person. And they say that they think this tree is where Robin Hood hid when the Sheriff of Nottingham was chasing him.
There you go.
1,200 years old. Isn't that wild?
That's fascinating.
So,
to think of something being alive that long.
I know it is. It's really amazing. So they did investigate, and they think that some of it has to do with how many people have come to visit. Some of it has to do with climate change because there's been heat waves and drought and the root system is strangled. But I'm still saying it's 1,200 years old.
But just because it doesn't have leaves, let's give it another year. Let's see what happens. Don't just.
All right. So really fun. I don't think they're cutting it down.
Okay,
I don't know. That would be bad. I don't know. Okay. So this day, it's June 18th. It's National Cherry Tart Day. So that's kind of fun. And then I have all these fun things. So first of all, we do have a birthday to say. Maybe. So that's happy birthday
like Sir
from
Paul.
It's his birthday. He's freaking 84 today, Sir Paul McCartney. I don't know. That seems so weird to me. Paul McCartney is 84 years old. Okay, so on this day, this is we've been talking a lot about the Revolutionary War, 1776, because we're 250. But in 1778, American forces actually entered Philadelphia and the British withdrew. This is during the Revolutionary War. On this day in 1812, the War of 1812 began. So do you remember that war?
I remember the song, the 1812
Overture.
The Overture, yeah, of course.
Okay, there we go. So
with the bombs and everything.
Yeah, the British, they thought, they've been independent, but it reminds me of the musical Hamilton, right, where you get the king saying, you'll be back. So they tried to take it back. And when King Charles came to visit the White House recently, he made a joke about about trying to renovate the White House, and they did it through fire in 1812, which I thought was,
that was cute.
I mean, you're joking about it, right? It was kind of funny. It was on this day in 1873 that a judge ordered a jury of 12 men to find Susan B. Anthony guilty.
Okay, time out.
I know.
How does a judge tell a jury what to tell? What's the jury there for?
Different times.
I'm going to order you to find this woman guilty. Susan B. Anthony?
Come on. She voted illegally because women didn't have the right to vote, if you remember. And they had poll workers who let her vote. Well, when she went to trial, the jury was on Susan B. Anthony's side, and so the judge says, you need to find her guilty.
Yeah, and so her attorney said, Your Honor, I want the jury pulled, which means I want to ask the jurors, is this your vote? The judge says, no, we're going to skip that part.
So anyway.
That's even hard to imagine in this day and age.
She was fined $100 plus court costs, and the poll workers were each fined $25 plus court fees for allowing her to vote. So yay, Susan B. Anthony. Unfortunately, she died before that became a thing, before the 19th Amendment was ratified.
The dollar coin with her picture
That's
on
right.
it. I have some.
Okay, 1928, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean successfully by air.
On this day?
On this day, yeah.
Wow.
June 18th, 1928.
I think she landed in France, didn't she? I forget.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe. It was on this day in 1979 that President Jimmy Carter and Soviet President at the time, Leonid Brezhnev, signed the SALT II Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. So that was one where they got together and said, okay, we're détente, right? Nuclear détente. We're not gonna continue to build up. It was on this day in 1983, too, that Sally Ride became the first American woman in space. And so that is really interesting. I included a quote from her in my newsletter today, and she said this: I would like to be remembered as someone who was not afraid to do what she wanted to do, and as someone who took risks along the way in order to achieve her goals. So Sally Ride.
Yeah.
And then in 1985, Karl Malone was chosen in the draft by the Utah Jazz.
And that was probably, in my opinion, the greatest jazz player of all time, at least since they came to Utah. I mean, he was outstanding, and I remember I go to a gym in the morning where he worked out.
Really?
And he would do things. He took care of himself in a way that you just would never appreciate. I know he's a professional athlete, and that's what he's supposed to do, but his longevity, the years that he played, and the level he played. If you watched him at his prime, he was completely unstoppable. He could do anything he wanted.
So, and then we've already talked about one Supreme Court case, and this is the last one, and then you can go to closing arguments. But in 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court, in the case of the Department of Homeland Security versus Regents of the University of California, rejected in a very close decision, 5-4, President Donald Trump's effort to end legal protections for more than 650,000 young immigrants. So that was just in 2020.
Well, let's stay with the Supreme Court for a minute, because we started the day talking about the Supreme Court, and it happens. I thought they were usually on Wednesdays, but today we got up and we heard that the Supreme Court was going to be issuing some rulings. And I think that when the day started, there were some 19 or 20 cases that were pending at the Supreme Court that we were still awaiting their decision on. Only 3 came out today, and I know a lot of the pundits were thinking, well, they weren't very interesting cases. But to me, and I guess I'm totally geeking on this, because you learn something new. So until today, Holly, it was illegal to have a gun in your house if you used marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it was well-established law from the legislature, and it's something that we'd had in America since we started having marijuana laws. Now that's changed. And it's so significant because it wasn't changed by the legislature. It wasn't changed by executive order. It was changed because the Supreme Court heard a case and said, you know what, this is really not what we think the Second Amendment was all about when it was enacted. It's for a casual user. And again, I'm not trying to tell people you can use marijuana and carry guns, because people will treat that differently. But the Supreme Court said, you know what, we're taking this Second Amendment a little too far when we say you're a restricted person when you use marijuana. And so to me, I just hearing about that case and reading about it, I thought, it's smart. The Supreme Court did something, and I think it was unanimous or near unanimous. I mean, they got together and thought, we've taken this a little too far. A second opinion that I want to talk about, which is even sort of less, I think some people would think it's important, but in my world it's very important, is, we plea bargain cases, and you plead guilty and you say, well, I will stipulate that I won't appeal this. And the Supreme Court said, but sometimes you can't just waive your right to appeal. You know what I mean? You can't just say, hey, I agreed not to appeal, and what if something's done wrong? So the Supreme Court opened a little tiny door. And I know a lot of people don't think that case is particularly important, but boy, in my world, it makes a lot of difference. And so when I go to court next time and there's an appeal waiver, which there is every single time I plead a federal case, you have to relook at it and say, well, does that really exist in this case? So, yeah, I mean, you can't overstate rather how important the Supreme Court opinions are, because years and years, decades for me, of law that I've studied are changed this morning by the Supreme Court.
Thanks for your closing arguments. Coming up on Utah's New News, we're going to hear a little more about the dismissed rape case against former BYU football player Parker Kingston. Stay with KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock. Utah's noon news starts now. I'm Britt Johnson, in for Maria Chaleos this week. KSL's top story this hour. The rape charge against a former BYU football player is being dismissed, but with a chance the case could come back in the future. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce reports.
Judge Jay Winward dismissed the case against wide receiver Parker Kingston today without prejudice. That means the case won't go to trial next month as planned, but also acknowledges that the facts of the case weren't fully evaluated. Prosecutors had been asking for more time to work with Kingston's accuser. Effectively, this gives them that time. Kingston lost his spot on the football team after the charges came to light last year. He was accused of raping a 20-year-old in southern Utah. Kingston has been out on bail. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. Marijuana use is not a reason to prevent you from owning a firearm, according to a ruling today from the U.S. Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court's decision was unanimous, ruling that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional, especially as applied to a Texas man who simply consumed marijuana several times a week and was prosecuted.
That's ABC's Devin Dwyer reporting. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the opinion, and he says it's a narrow one that limits but does not end the government's power to take guns away from drug users. AI is a hot topic between Republicans in the 3rd Congressional Primary District here in Utah. Candidate Phil Lyman says he'll be working with the other side to make sure his constituents feel represented, especially when it comes to the construction of data centers. Lyman joined KSL News Radio's Inside Sources to tell Utahns what he'll do if he's sent to D.C.
I've said no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, freedom means freedom. And people far on the left agree with me on that, people far on the right. The other thing that we found in kind of going through the data center discussions in Utah, it's not so much about data centers, it's not so much about resources, it's about being treated poorly. And people don't like being treated poorly.
His opponent, Congresswoman Celeste Malloy, said she believes the growth of AI should be encouraged, but with government supervision. New research from Utah Valley University suggests AI-generated deepfakes could have a bigger impact on elections than many people realize. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live from UVU with the latest. Eric?
Britt, with Utah's primary election less than a week away, researchers at UVU wanted to know whether voters could spot AI-generated deepfakes. Those are videos that use artificial intelligence to make someone appear to say or do something they never actually did. The answer? Most couldn't. Researchers showed more than 600 people videos tied to a fictional ballot initiative. Some were authentic, while others were AI generated.
When we showed people a deepfake, we found that over half of them couldn't identify it. 16% that could correctly identify it, and the rest of them said they weren't sure.
Senior analyst Kay Banner says the study also found those fake videos changed opinions just as effectively as authentic ones. The findings come as deepfake election content has already surfaced nationally, and here in Utah, including a fake video involving Governor Spencer Cox. The takeaway, don't assume a video is real just because it looks convincing. For more, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
The Utah County Clerk has changed the job title and responsibilities of a 23-year-old conservative influencer he hired to be the chief deputy clerk. Kai Schwemmer has a history of making controversial comments about women, and his hiring sparked widespread backlash, including from more than 80 different women who've served in public office. County Clerk Aaron Davidson tells KSL Schwemmer will now assist him directly and help the office in a variety of ways, but he says he still has no administrative role in elections. The Memorandum of Understanding has officially been signed by both President Trump and Iranian leaders. The Trump administration says this will lead to an end to the war and prevent Iran from ever developing its nuclear program. It also lifts restrictions on Iran's oil industry and unfreezes a $300 billion fund.
This is a big win for the Iranian regime. They get immediate funding up front. That's going to take away most of the pressure on their regime. They actually haven't agreed to turn over the strait, only to allow it to come to pre-war levels. So they have a gain from the war financially and long-term strategically, as this has proven to be a major leverage point for the Iranian regime.
ABC's Mick Mulroy there. He says the agreement mirrors some of the prior nuclear deal that was signed during the Obama administration and heavily criticized by President Trump. U.S. gas prices are dropping after word of ceasefire agreement with Iran. The current average of a gallon of regular unleaded is $3.99 nationwide, the first time it's been below $4 since March. We're not quite there yet in Utah. Our average is $4.14 a gallon, but we're lucky here on the Wasatch Front. Prices are generally lower in northern Utah than the rest of the state. First Look Traffic, here's Ricky Meese.
Already a bumpy start to your noontime drive. We have a crash southbound I-15 after Warm Springs Road. Only 2 right lanes of traffic getting by, and delays are building quickly. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Let's face it, it's time to give your finances a serious glow up. Hi, I'm Susan Spears, a certified public accountant and host of the all-new podcast, Talk to Your CPA. Think of this as your ultimate money guide, packed with actionable tips for every stage of life. Starting a family, college, a business, retirement. We'll cover it all and call on a deep bench of money experts to share their best strategies. And when I switch into CPA mode, we'll cut through the jargon to uncover hidden tax breaks or financial nuggets that might work for you, like special deductions for tax earners, tax wins at age 65, and benefits when you buy a new car, or just how to stretch your dollar. The first episode drops soon, so subscribe to Talk to Your CPA on your favorite podcast platform today. Because true financial freedom isn't about ditching your daily latte. It's about uncovering hidden hacks to launch a